I just want to say before we start the podcast, a huge thank you to you guys. While everybody else is going to events for EA, Ubisoft, Activision, Bethesda, then spending the next 4 weeks bitching about everything to honor whore themselves back into appearing like they're somewhat not impacted by human nature during reviews, you guys make it possible that I don't have to do any of that. Your patron memberships, YouTube memberships, even comments and likes help me fight the good fight. And even if we disagree, even if you end up hating me, I can promise you one thing. You don't ever have to worry about any of the stuff like that here at ACG. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. This video sponsor is Manscraper. Do you have too much cush in your push? Do you suffer from too much traction and action while you're thrashing and bashing at the late night smashing? Try Manscraper. Manscraper is for the manly man. Sure, you can get little kid trimmers from the competitors as they daintily dance around your third arm and muckles. Manscaped is for a different beast. It's for dudes from another brood who didn't politely need to clip but need to hedge trim like they leg-choked Wilt Chamberlain in the glory years. Using our patent-pending 15-horsepower chipper shredder with advanced gonad alert technology, we can promise you the best shave you're ever going to get. And with Manscaped 2.0, there's approximately 12% less chance of injury. For only $499.99, you can get the Manscraper. 4 plastic bags for collecting your work and a 6-ounce container of aloe vera. If you order now, we'll also throw in the Demansculator. If you have nose thunder, down under, or just need a good washing, just hang our 4.2-pound Demansculator from your junk. Why shower when you can power through the hour, smelling like a tower of flowers? The Demansculator gives your wrinkled boys the washing of a lifetime, certified to pass any antibacterial test for 6 months after use. Current research shows no impact on fertility. And last but not least, if you order now, we're going to throw in a little Gorilla Glue, because once you're done, you can make a beard out of all the leftovers. I mean, who doesn't want to dress up for Halloween, right? Why let all that good go to wasting? Manscaped, shaving your man grapes like you deserve. And if you join our Patreon now, you can join our photo collection group, where you can where you can send in no, don't send me in nudes. Manscaped. If you want nuts so clean you can eat off them. Manscaped. We haven't killed anybody yet. We've been clipping what you've been dipping since porn wasn't shorn and everyone looked like ivy and thorns. I just want to say before we start the podcast, a huge thank you to you guys. While everybody else is going to events for EA, Ubisoft, Activision, Bethesda, then spending the next 4 weeks bitching about everything to honor whore themselves back into appearing like they're somewhat not impacted by human nature during. Why should you join the ACG YouTube membership? Listen, it helps the channel. Sure, I could pretend that some company's pre-built PC is awesome, even if it just accidentally happens to be that I got it from them in the last 3 weeks. You don't want that. I could also open up an OnlyFans, which just me naked eating Uncrustables and rubbing my beard against the mic. No one wants that either, because it'd be terrifying. For $5, you can become a YouTube member. I'd probably save you that by warning you away from Alakine's gun, or maybe Gene Rain, or maybe you watch the reviews. I don't know why, because they suck, but maybe you do. If you join now, we don't have to worry about those things. You also get access to the Patreon when it comes to the Discord. So become a YouTube member now, before I start having to put surprise oral sex-looking thumbnails on my reviews. And trust me, no one else wants that. So power up with ACG. Besides, it's for sure better than those POS earbuds YouTubers try to sell you. Why? Sup, everybody? This is Carrick with ACG, and I'm all alone. Johnny's getting a drink, but we had already started the actual stream itself. So I just said I would jump on. You'll see him on here in a moment. First of all, how's everybody doing? Let's start with that. It's Friday. How was your week? Rate your week, 1 to 10. Rate your week, never touch, to buy at full price. Yeah, that'll be it. I hope everybody's doing well. It is absolutely smoking hot here. Not only because of myself, but also just the weather. I think it was like 97 yesterday. It is just ridiculous. So my week, I'm going to give it a solid 6, a 6.9 for humor. Robert says an 8. Hey, could be worse. An 8's not that bad. An 8's quite good. I think an 8's safe. Like, an 8, if your average for life was an 8, if your average for work days was an 8, that's not bad at all, actually. Is he in the room with us now? No. What if Johnny just showed up right here? I invited him over. I'd do that. We had rain for the first time in months today. It was lovely. Oh, yeah, dude, that's so awesome, especially once you get past the armpit moment. Armpit moments are like the first 35 to 40 minutes of a rain where things just start to feel like shit. You're like, oh, damn, it's like wet and humid. But then that coolness starts to build up. And, dude, it's so nice. It's very difficult to, like, have a problem with that. Such a good feeling. We have a lot to discuss today. It's actually been a pretty busy week. Well, Johnny and I were talking a little bit. One of the things I want to cover for sure is the Sinking City 2 and see what people thought of that. And cover some of the reviews. Sorry, we had to start a little early, Johnny, because the video was going. So,
all good.
Yeah. But we're going to talk about some Sinking City 2 reviews. We're going to talk about GTA. We won't spoil anything. We're just going to talk about the leaks and some stuff that I found out over the last weekend from tech and devs and, how people get tracked. I don't know if you guys saw, but I guess litigation's already been started by them towards Microsoft and Discord. So that didn't take long. It won't take long with Take-Two. I think we're now past the point of assuming Take-Two is going to delay anything, right? Take-Two's just not, hey, what's up, Rue? Man, I haven't seen you in a while. I just actually, if you're the same Rue that's in our Discord, I was just mentioning you a couple days ago. I hadn't seen you in a bit, so hope you're doing well. Yeah, 3 a.m., I'm assuming that's Rue. Unless he's like in Syria or something like that. I would assume that's him. But yeah, man, it's been a busy week. First of all, Johnny, when you go to a restaurant, do you end up feeling self-conscious when you buy stuff? This came up, I'm sure you saw it. Roy Sutherland talked about how now that there's electric kiosks, people buy 2 or 3 burgers because they no longer have to deal with a person. And I've had a friend who actually would get 2 burgers pretending he was buying one for me so he could eat both. That just shows the overarching, hierarchy of like what you worry about versus what you don't. But when you go to a restaurant, do you ever fret over what you're getting? Do you ever order a giant meal and then go, these guys are going to think I'm just a lard ass? Do you ever feel stressed? Do you feel stressed about ordering new stuff? Like, do you order new things with no problems whatsoever? Like, are you an experimenter at a restaurant?
Dude, what I hate is leaving a meal unfinished. So when I'm going to order something that I haven't ordered before. I'm going to grab a Rockstar.
Continue. Yeah.
Yeah. I have the anxiety that like something's going to be wrong with it. I'm not going to like it. I'm not going to be able to eat it. And then it's going to be rude as fuck. Because like, there's just something about, they prepared that meal. It's, it's nailed, but then you dislike it.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of I view it as a slight to, a slap in the face for the cook.
Okay. That's fair. When I go, number one, I don't. Number two, I have a big tendency to get whatever I want, really, regardless of where I am. So, like, I'll go, I was telling the guys last night, I'll go in, I'll get a steak, and I'll be like, where's the A1, bitch? Where's the ketchup? And they'll be like, is the steak not good? Some places they understand that the client wants a certain thing. I mean, who knows?
I see what you mean.
Like when you get a chef who comes out and he's like, is it not good enough or is it blah, 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 or you wanted it well done. It's like, well, you may have no clue. Maybe that person saw a murder, and doesn't want to see a bloody piece of meat.
The well done thing is really big because some places, if you ask for your steak well done, they will almost take it as like an offense.
Yeah. Yeah, which is probably why I order it well done everywhere I go. But like, I'll be like ketchup. I want A1. I want ketchup. I want old.
The customer is always right.
I mean, I don't know if they are, but I think with food they are because you just have no clue. Like if somebody said, "Hey, I don't want peanuts in my peanut chicken," and you were like, "Well, I'm going to put them in anyway," and you find out they're allergic to them.
Yeah, or like someone asking for a pizza without cheese. And it's weird.
That's a good point.
And they kind of have to go out of their way to do it, but...
Yeah, it's a good point. I actually had some friends who were allergic to pizza, allergic to cheese, but they love pizza, and so they would definitely...
That's a really unlucky debuff in life.
Void's allergic to cheese. He talks about it quite a bit. Yeah, it's got to be rough. It's got to be rough. Yeah, dude, I don't know, man. I go in, I just don't worry about that stuff, but there's so many rules now. And there's so much social signaling going on. It's like whether it be about tips, right? That's the other thing. You have to hear 900 people trying to tell you how tips are done. Are tips, did you do a tip correctly or whatever? And I'm like, you know what? In all honesty, if somebody paid for something and you offer an option, Unless your option says no, well done. I mean, I guess then that's on the, it better be on that menu where it says that so somebody doesn't waste their money. But it's just always an interesting topic, especially when you get multiple people. It's just you and I, but you get multiple people, you find out just how different places are and cultures are and what they'll order, what they'll eat. Like you'll have somebody say, yeah, I'll eat anything if it's given to me because, it's rude otherwise. Well, like you were saying, it's rude at the end of a meal to not have the meal done. And ours was different. It was that your meal was done because not that we didn't get a lot, but that, you were hungry. I'll just say it that way.
I was still hungry at the end. Yeah.
And so
didn't do the job.
Yeah. So you did eat it. But yeah, there was definitely a meal where I was just like, yeah, nah, I'm not feeling it, Mom. Not feeling chicken for the 7,000th time, Ma. It's not going to happen. Yeah. I always like to figure out like what people think of and where their cultures are. So you guys don't even have a tip culture there, right? No tips.
No, there are tips, but it's kind of weird, man. Some places they are mandatory, like they're included in the check, so you'll see like, it's already built into what you're gonna pay.
Yeah, right.
But it's not like people are outraged if you decide to not tip.
Yeah.
Either. So it's still in that voluntary thing. Some places kind of put it in there so you actually do have to pay it. I don't mind because since that's like, sadly, it's part of the salary of those people, right? It's around tips, which kind of sucks. I wish it wasn't, but for that specifically, I kind of get it. And I respect the game of them trying to do something cool to impress you or maybe just have a good, impression on you to then deserve a tip. I kind of appreciate
I'm firmly in agreement, dude. Because my friends, most of my friends when I was working at HP had a second job where they would work 4 hours on, 4 hours off, and many of them worked at the local Sherry's or the local Applebee's. And I can tell you, boy, did they love tips. They were like, you can pay me $0 because I can work up the tip. I can figure out a way, like whether it be your streamer style, you got your shirt unbuttoned a little bit. I don't know, whatever you want to do. But there's always, it's so funny because you always be like, tips need to be stopped or we need to do tips everywhere, which you don't hear as much. But it's like, no one knows what, because every place is different. I honestly didn't think you guys had any tips anywhere. We just, we got a washer delivered and they did a great job and they walked off and I felt pretty bad, man. I was like, because physical labor, I have no issue whatsoever tipping somebody a couple bucks. I'm not going to tip somebody $1 billion,
for something big.
Yeah, and they tipped and they left, and I was like, God damn it! The one person that does a good job, I mean, they did a fantastic job. Like they put the washer in and all that stuff. Did it really fast. Super nice people. 3 kids. They're like 18s, probably 18 to Yeah,
I know. Like some people make fun of tipping delivery people. Like, bro, they're doing their job. Why would you tip them? It's like tipping, I don't know, tipping your plumber or something. But I really believe in when somebody goes out of their way to give you value. That's something they didn't have to do. I really believe in giving something back.
Me too.
It's not even about the money. It's more like a gesture. Like if you take a car, an Uber, and they do a really good job. They like go out of their way to leave you in a good spot. They help you with your stuff. Like, to me, that's value. I want to kind of show that I got it. I received it.
Yeah. And I think it also, if things are at a status quo, which I've worked at many jobs where everything was status quo, you always had the shitbags that they just did the lowest common denominator because they were getting paid that exact amount. I love the idea of a livable wage plus tips. I think no wage. Most of the friends that I know were making more than me in 4 hours than I made in 8, even if they didn't get a wage, because tips can be enormous. But then you could have a bad tip day, or certain days where nobody wants to work because it just happens to be for your restaurant. There's no. Also, so this popped up in a podcast. I want to ask you: when you talk to somebody and you get ready to go and you say thanks, do you add anything to the end? Do you say thanks, man? Thanks, bud. So I say
man a lot.
Yeah, I say man a lot. I say bud. I told you already once. I got absolutely chastised one time for saying bud.
I think Bud is fine. Buddy is like,
I mean, I don't know, dude. What is it like? Like, how do you control that? You're literally going out of your way to get to like say thanks. So because here's what happened. Older guy podcast was saying, he said, thanks, dear. And they were like, oh, you aged yourself. And I'm like, maybe. But I mean, maybe. But number one, who gives a shit? He's a 50-year-old guy. Number two, they were like, I'd probably look at that like, ooh. And I'm all, of all the things in the world to think that that's what you would worry about was somebody saying dear. I mean, I wouldn't say it. It doesn't pop into my head very often to say thanks, dear, to anybody ever.
Yeah.
Dear isn't a word that I hear very much. This guy's a little older than me, so it would have made sense that maybe that entered as a vernacular. But then they were saying like what they would say, and I was like, when I was hearing them talk, I was like, all right, if we're all going to go there, I'm just going to curtsy and say thank you, madame, to every single person whenever I go anywhere.
Thank you, big dog.
Thanks, big. Yeah. Oh no, that popped up. Thanks, dog. Thanks, dog. What was the other one? Shoddy. I was like, thanks, Shoddy. Anyway, we'll move on from there. I just like to always find a little bit about everybody and their cultures whenever we jump into these. I always think they're good. Let's see. This is Effort Free Me. Effort Free Me. I worked delivery for Shipped and Drizzly for a while, and probably would say only about 50 of the people tipped, give or take. Kind of tough because those companies pay you based on getting tipped. Yeah, that one's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough. So, what do we want
by
to
the way,
about?
our cameras are a little bit screwed
damn, you got screwed up again, dude. It auto shifts you over. Thank you for saying something.
I just noticed that.
It's when you went away, it resets your resolution to a different resolution, then pops you back up. Give me a second. Thank you for mentioning it.
Oh, God damn it, Discord.
Dude, hey, as much as we get away with on Discord and shit, I still at times get pretty pissed by like how many little idiosyncrasies there are. Let me give you a little bit of a
better if it happens now than later on. I had to like get the package, get a drink and stuff, so I'm happy we just got it all out of the way.
Most people,
we're ready.
If they're smart, most people listen to us on audio anyway. Unless we're like 18-year-old chicks. I don't think you need to see two grizzlied old men talking about games, but that's just me.
I don't know. I'm sure there's
Grizzly fans.
There's yes.
Grizzly fans. That's a unique website right there. What do we talk about first?
Should we jump into the big one with the GTA leak?
Yeah, sure. What did you think? Did you see the videos?
Yes. Yeah, I saw the videos. We'll try, like you said, we'll try to not spoil anything, like details wise, but I thought it looked incredible, man. Like the sheen of sweat on the dude's back as he's walking on the beach, like the girl on the gym and everything going on around. And, when she goes to steal a car and she uses her heels to like break the window, like so much detail, lots of really cool stuff. Nothing that we didn't expect necessarily, but I thought the execution was really good. It really shows like what all these years in between games can do, because when you compare that level of detail to GTA 5, it is pretty insane. We're here, we're able to do that kind of stuff. Of course, it's all like early, we don't know, speculative, we don't know what hardware is that, what's going on with it, is it going to be representative, yada yada. But what did you think?
Well, I didn't see that one, and there was a lot of issues with AI that people were faking them with AI, so I ran an AI tester on mine, because there were a couple that were AI. The one I watched a biplane one, a plane one where he flies over the city. So that'll be the majority of my discussion, because that one I guaranteed wasn't an AI and was well done. And there's two things I noticed. One, they're doing a great job with learning from Red Dead 2's image stability fixes that Red Dead 2 had. Red Dead 2 had a really good LOD system that's transferred farther away things into JPEGs. You can go and read up about it. Really smart tech for getting a solid image quality that didn't flicker a lot. And when you watch this flying, other than the clouds, which is your typical alpha and Z buffer fighting kind of stuff, and two helicopters, weirdly enough, only the helicopters, that turned into another helicopter, like old GTA. The rest of it, I was tracking cars that were miles away. And that car, like the color, because that's all you're really going to see. Brown box with some wheels, it's going to be a low res. Really impressed with just that general look. That's the only one I really solidified as like, okay, this one, is real versus any others that are released. I did see one where he was in an El Camino, or the atypical, I guess you'd call GTA version of an El Camino, which is the car that's got the brat back with. It's a car, but it's also got a trunk, like a bed to it. And first of all, Jason's huge. I don't know if you noticed that. That dude is a monster. Bro, he showed up. That dude's Lesnaring the fuck out of people. Like, he showed up and I was like, that is not what I expected. He is, unless there's something going on with just the way the footage was or the characters he happened to meet, he is a big guy. He is like a genuinely big character, which I thought that was interesting and very cool, because I'm assuming she won't be. So you might have a cool variation there where it feels like there's
very much so. I've been watching Reacher, so I almost thought what's going on? It's Reacher.
I will say, to me, what it looks like is GTA 5 improved in the places I wanted, with a lighting system that's obviously one step above the GTA 5 special edition that came out that did the ray tracing kind of adjustments. And that's pretty much what I expect from the current video game systems. I mean, these are consoles. They can only do a certain thing. And when I looked at it, I was like, okay, that seems fair for what we were expecting. But when I saw the plane, I became genuinely interested, because I'm a firm believer that we may not be able to pick out why a game breaks us away from what we're seeing and makes us feel like it's less than. And one of them is characters disappearing, Unity, characters changing genders in Unity just right in front of you in the mobs, and people going around a corner in a GTA and you come around, they're gone. That feeling where everything, and you have it in role playing, where in role playing it's called like the 6 foot active zone, where in a lot of games it feels like the world's only active when you show up. That is not what I saw there. It looked like there was a little bit more going on. You see some helicopters flying around, some jet boats. I was like, this is sort of what it wasn't surprising. It was what I expected. Now, one of them, I can't tell you if it's AI or not, because I didn't track this one, and I was seeing this one in a small thumbnail, but it had a Tate McRae song from 2025. So that would date it if that was a real one, and I don't know if it is, but I would assume Tate she's pretty popular. I could definitely see her being the Britney Spears of this version, or the hot singing girl of this game, and where they got some license to play her. Now, I could be wrong on that, because, again, I didn't get a chance to check if that was real or not. I did see a couple that were extraordinarily bad, and they were AI. And the reason why you can tell is, once again, frame rate is not replicated in AI yet. It's why people look too smooth. If you really want to fake, if you want to lessen and fake an AI to make videos, I'm not going to say it on this channel, but in our Discord, I have told people, this is, if I was going to fake a video, this is what I would do. And there's about 3 small things you could do. And I've seen it done a couple times in our Discord where somebody's messing with AI, and I'm like, yeah, that looks way more realistic than anything you'll see on Midjourney or whatever, or Kimmy, where people are smooth. If you notice, there's a smoothness to everything. And it's because the AI, it's just not good at knowing what happened in the past, even one frame. So it uses the motion. It's
just softening detail. It's almost like feathering stuff.
But if you throw some FPS in there at certain speeds and you mess around a little bit, now you've got something that's a little bit harder and a little lower resolution. These guys like to pump out there. I don't know what it is with resolution.
Crazy time.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy time we live in, that you can't tell 100%, because I watched a few of those videos, and I did notice one of them was clearly fake, but then I wouldn't be able to tell you, man, out of everything I watched, you know, like, it's really hard to tell sometimes.
Very hard. Yeah, very. Real quick, Spanky Steve, what's up, sir? And thanks for the super chat. If anybody wants to come in, got a deal on the Discord right now. In fact, I think we have a deal for people who are free to come in for half price. We have some deals there in the Discord. We've been doing some D&D, been doing some video games, as well as a bunch of podcasts about games I've reviewed. If you come in, it helps out. Spanky Steve, $10, says, just shouting out a smaller game that's getting a console port for anyone like me who's getting exhausted of AAA shooters. It's called 0 Hour. So releasing this fall to console, it's similar to Ready or Not. I've definitely heard of this one, but I have not checked it out. So that's very cool. And good for a shout out, man. Kel says, still waiting on the Only Beards, Carrick. Well, I have a Only Beards Ko-Fi. What is it called? Kofi. It's another
coffee.
one of those. Yeah, it's another one of the. Yeah. Get me a coffee, but okay. It's another one of the subscriptions. Dude, there's so many. It's crazy. That's why we're trying to offer more and more in the Discords and stuff. It's just so. I mean, even I am like tipped out when it comes to streams. Because speaking of tips,
sure.
I'm surprised Netflix isn't asking for tips now. You know, you're just like, dude. And I was telling you on the Game Awards, people were throwing money at the Game Awards, and I was like, dude, get away from it. Go watch your streamer that you like. Like, what are you doing? I mean, I guess you could say, I really like your stuff so much, Game Awards. I want you to have the financial blank. But I think most people aren't thinking that far, and they're just like, because dude, they were making bank. They were making thousands. Fox Anic says, what are the games, then GTA 6, are you guys most excited for?
This fall?
I have so many that, like, this is not a silverism where I say there's too many to choose. I'll give you a bunch. There are
Wolverine I'm excited for.
Wolverine, Onimusha. As I got flayed in my... Oh, by the way, go check out the... Games of September video. There's Wolverine. There's Fire Emblem, which got stunning previews. I mean, who knows, but it did get stunning previews. Storm says, hey, Carrick, Johnny, have you guys seen the Blood of the Dawnwalker is limited to 30 to 40 FPS on the PS5 Pro and the Xbox Series X? Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. While that game doesn't look the best, I feel like Blood of the Dawnwalker had a pretty short development period. And I wonder if their optimization time and when they want to release is just like, this is what we can get out of it. Like, I don't know, not making excuses. I'm accepting that some higher fidelity games will be 30 because of the CPUs in the consoles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did see that. 30 to 40 allows for Xbox to have VRR, not PlayStation, but it does allow for Xbox.
I like the way you explain it, that it's a developer choice. You know, what the FPS is going to be. They can specifically tune it to be 60, right? Yeah. It is a decision, like it's, but it's a lot of things to consider, right? How is everything looking on screen that they want to showcase? How does it play? Absolutely. What's the kind of immersion, right? There's a lot of stuff that, without bloom, sometimes a scene can look completely different, and they might think, listen, we want to prioritize maybe the artistic aspect or something. It's hard to tell, but I tend to just sit back and trust the developers, especially with consoles, because you don't have all these settings, right? They are dialing in an experience for the console people. And I feel like usually those are pretty well dialed in. Not always, but a lot of the time they do a good job,
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. And the same thing goes with Red Dead and with GTA, a longer polish cycle.
Yeah. I would like to see a performance mode, though. Maybe later throw a performance mode so people can choose.
Well, here's the thing. Real question. What if this is a real question, man. I mean, but this is what we're dealing with right now. If the performance mode has less pedestrians, less cars, less draw distance, and 480p, the first three are CPU, that second one's more GPU. But let's say you do that, would you still want a performance mode, or would you rather have them spend the time only QAing the quality mode, the main mode? Because a GTA, for instance, that's going to be rough. It's going to be rough to QA that, and try to figure out a way to where the game still works. Let's say you have a long draw distance race. No. Let's say not a race. Let's say there's a mission and a bad guy's driving away, and you have tuned your entire system to allow a bad guy to be 900 yards on a long straightaway. You're at the top of a hill. You can see a guy, 900 yards away. Now you go to performance mode, and you have 400 yards. So technically, you're now looking at the mini map to find that guy, and you're quite literally not able to see him. So
Yep.
that's just sort of what. Yeah, I mean, there are some ways that you could be like, well, I just want to see that one car, but then every time I talk to a developer about that, they're like, you have all kinds of collision detection issues. You have issues where a person may not see that car far away went around a corner or a roundabout, so they're driving full speed, and then the roundabout pops up 100 yards in front of them, and they're like, oh man, what the fuck, which some games have tried to do that and not succeeded, but yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes the changes are so big that it creates like two different builds they need to test altogether.
Yeah.
If you can get away with like small changes, maybe just like tweaking some of the texture maps, right, to be a bit lower res at times and stuff, then a lot of times you can provide like a good performance mode that just sacrifices some things, but doesn't really change like some of that like CPU stuff or, that type of thing.
I think right now, just because of what I'm looking at for all these games, I would rather have a very steady, unbreakable 30.
Especially day one, right?
Yeah, just because I don't want a 30. That doesn't mean I want games to be 30. I'm saying if that's where we are in this discussion, then if I can have a buggier 45, sorry, like it's probably not. And then I can choose to not do a console if I want. But I mean, these consoles are older. They're based on APUs you can't expect too much. I mean, the CPU is doing the CPU. What
they
CPU
are pretty
does.
old now.
Yeah.
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 Maybe not the Pro,
Well, yes, the Pro, because remember, the Pro didn't change anything. It just added in a couple features, and you're still, it's almost like a car. You can say you've got a turbo, but really, when you look at the Pro, it's like they painted it and took some weight off. It's
not like it's completely new hardware, right? It's more like it's packing a bit more heat, but
yeah. Let's see. And then people are talking about Zero Company, right? Yeah, Zero Company, the Star Wars game.
Yeah.
Then there's the Pod Racer game. There's a bunch of stuff coming out.
And Yeah.
Pod Racer is going to be a blast.
Yeah, Ace Combat looked good. Agreed.
Ace Combat, yeah. Ace Combat. I don't think they're going to change it. I'd like some changes up on the gameplay, but that's not saying I don't want it. I do want it. I just feel like sometimes the missile spam can get a little bit hefty.
Yeah, it can be.
A little bit hefty on the missile spam. But yeah, man, I'm excited for all these. I think there's a good number of games. Speaking of that, we've got some game codes to give out. Let's see, what do I have? I got Mortal Shell 2.
Ooh. Damn.
What do we got to do? We got to ask a question. What's the worst performing game? No, I got it. This is for Mortal Shell 2. We'll give them out at the end. What's the worst? What's the anybody in chat? I'll do one for Spotify and Anchor too, and I'll hold on till next week or something to give that out. But this one will be just for chat. What's the absolute worst performing game you love? There we go. Because we've all had it. Let's be honest. We talk about performance, and then somebody's like, dude, the game you love, its performance sucks balls. And you're like,
Bugfest game.
Yeah. That girl you're dating, she's not the nicest. You're like, but she's so good in bed. I'm just joking. That would be rude and hypocritical, and I would never say that. Yeah, man. So back to GTA. I'm excited by what we saw. What do you think? So here's some stuff about the stocks that I thought was awesome. I guess people don't know how stocks work. So the people were like, oh my God, the stocks went down because of this. And they did. But they've also gone down 55 times in the last year and gone down farther on a random Monday than they did due to this. They go down, they go up. Now, there's two reasons why. One, bad news. You don't want that. Number two, you have to have buyers to have sellers, and you have to have sellers to have buyers, which is why a stock goes up and down. If a stock didn't go up and down, and I've owned a stock and I've owned cryptocurrency that wasn't being bought, do you know what you have? Nothing. You can borrow against it in there's some actual brokerages that let you borrow against I guess you would say it's zero traded stock, but it's pretty rare because there's just no value in that. If let's say you hold all the stock, you open it up, somehow you hold all the stock, nobody's buying it. It's not, there's no worth for you to be able to glean from it. So this has gone down and up, but it did go down because of these. And it will go back up when the release happens. I saw people saying, oh, it lost billions of market cap in one day prior to. Like it's not. It is a big deal, but it's not it's just they're not a normal company. And the ups and downs, we were pulling up our stock trades because I own stock in it. I've owned stock for years in that company, just sort of a super small amount. But one of the guys in our Discord owns a larger amount and was showing me his like entire, he blurred some stuff, but he was showing me like his stock trading over the years. And I was like, wow, yeah, that definitely has had a lot of ups and downs. That's just
ups and downs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they always say, you shouldn't really invest on a single stock unless it's kind of disposable.
Or you like it, if you want to support the company. I think,
like the risk. Yeah, sure.
Okay, here we go. Here's some good answers. I'll give this out at the end, but I'm going to read some of these. Tears of the Kingdom 1 on Switch. Alpha Protocol. 3 Alpha Protocols already. Dude, Alpha Protocol is that one friend who is annoying, whatever, but when they come over, you just always have a blast. Days Gone, day 1. It was horrible, but I had a blast. Listen, I get you. Because when that game got patched up and you got to play it, it was not terrible. Outriders, drop down to 30 FPS in the middle of a mission with 2 friends, and then their game ends up crashing. Damn.
It was so bad. Yeah.
Dude.
Logged out Riders.
I still remember. I'm in Discord. This is about 2 years ago, right? Super late. We're talking about games. And I make a joke about Outriders because Outriders, I'm sorry, even when it is running, I didn't think it was a great game at all. And I think it was a Moodski, was like, he made a sound. And I was like, what? And he's like, I don't think you want to know how many hours I have in that game. I was like, oh my God, dude. And it was a lot. It was a lot. I couldn't even stay logged in that long to play the game if I had wanted to, which I certainly didn't. But like that game.
Yeah, it was rough. Dude, remember the tiny,
I didn't remember that. Anyway,
tiny animations when you would jump?
Yes. Oh.
Like you would have a tiny animation to jump a bridge or something. It would literally just be a tiny skip. And then it goes black again.
Yeah,
that was like they found it necessary to have that.
I know.
It was one of the most jarring things at times.
It is a Moodski in here who said that. Is that right? Oh yeah, it is. He says 300 hours.
Whoa. Yeah.
300 hours.
I mean, I had some fun in it, but it was rough.
300 hours. That's more than a month of work.
That's not ridiculous. Just some fun, man.
That's not just some fun. That's like intervention time where people show up at your house and they're like, would you come with me? That's Chris Hansen time. Have a seat. But yeah, man. Well, I mean, hey, you liked it. I asked the question. Tainted Grail on PS5, but notoriously runs really bad on that platform. This is Vapor Blood. So, Supreme Commander. Supreme Commander, man, I like the idea of that game. But yeah, the maximum pop-up. Yeah. Yeah, it ran like shit. It did. Cyberpunk Day 1. That's fair.
Yeah.
What's up, Lucy?
Yeah, that's a good example. Yeah, that ran like dog, dude. Day 1.
I'm trying to think of the worst one that I really... it might be Alpha Protocol. It really just seriously might be Alpha Protocol. Had story beats that changed depending on your choices, and you fought to get there. And there's something to be said about that hope that the game doesn't crash because you're interested in the story. So you just stick through it with that constant, worry. Keep going with your answers, and I'll pick one. But next up, I do want to talk about... Well, no, I want to talk about Mortal Shell 2. So...
Yeah.
Because that's the game we're giving away anyway. So Mortal Shell 2. So you played it. What did you think of Mortal Shell 2? Did you play 1? Did you not play 1? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so last week I was playing the first one, because I only dabbled in it. I played a fair bit, not all of it, maybe like 50%. And I was having a decent time in it, but it was clearly very limited compared to what we're used to. I think it was well before Elden Ring, wasn't it? It's been a long time, I think, since Mortal Shell 1.
Yeah.
And it really tried to do something very similar to Dark Souls 1, which if you were to play that game now, I think your memory might be very different than what the game is actually like. It's quite clunky. And I love the game, but it is pretty clunky. And lots of kind of limiting mechanics and stuff in it. I found the new one is really polished. The art direction is like a step up. It was pretty good in the first one, but in this one, I just feel like the detail in the environments and everything is really just next level. And I know it's partly due to Unreal 5, right? Which makes sense, but really well executed. And it might be one of the most accessible Souls games I've played. Not only does it have difficulty options, which is a nice addition, but it kind of ramps up, so it starts pretty easy, and it's introducing you to a lot of stuff and like teaching you how to play the game. Whereas I find that a lot of the Souls games, it starts already at 10. You know, that initial boss is already like usually a pretty tough boss. You know, definitely beatable. You can figure it out, but the point being that it doesn't really ease you into it too much. In fact, they usually they make a point of starting the game with like a boss maybe you can't beat or you're supposed to die to, right? That's very typical. Or you run into an optional boss that's like really strong. You're not really meant to kill necessarily, but it's just to show you like, hey, welcome to Dark Souls, right? It's making a point to kick your ass. And this game was much more like you're having a pretty chill time early on until a lot of these mechanics are introduced, and then you start to have like some real bosses and stuff, and some have been challenging so far, but a lot more quality of life, you know, better controls, much more responsive than what the first one was. And what impressed me as well is the amount of animations, because one big limitation in the first game was like enemy variety, variety of moves and animations and stuff. And this one, you have like different finishers for each enemy, lots of enemy types, which is very cool to see. And we were talking about Beast of Reincarnation last week. One of the big weaknesses of that game is the lack of enemy variety.
Right.
We see that in a lot of games. So big bonus in this game, the constant variety of enemies, and then like different finishers, really cool aesthetics with all the different shells and stuff. So I think it comes together really well. I'm still pretty early, so early to tell, but I think it's really solid for even people who don't typically play Souls games because of the difficulty options and the fact that it's kind of allowing you to get into the game before it really gets tough. I think it's a really good one to get in there. And I found the exploration was really rewarding. It has a nice map. I don't know about you. I like a good map where you can kind of like track stuff really well and it looks cool. You know, you get curious to go here, go there, explore and like find the cool. There's like rewarding stuff to find in the map if you go out of your way that are going to make you stronger and stuff like that. I like that stuff, man. I'm a sucker for good exploration in those games, and it's been great so far.
Yeah, I reviewed the original, and I think that a couple things I've noticed is they found what color is, because the original had a lot of obsidian and onyx looks to them, and a lot of obelisks and a lot of gray blacks, and it was actually at times a little too dark and a little too placeholdery. There were some issues with that. Everything I've seen of this one looks awesome. People are enjoying it, loving it. There's some really good graphics on the main character. Their styles, stylistically, there were some some normal enemies I saw. Also, I think we're finally getting to the point to where they're not the only one, but it seems like they're pushing it. Where we're getting away from the idea that Dark Souls somehow is a world that exists where a person is completely defenseless, can't do shit, and yet they're in the same world that inhabits these guys who just kill them in one shot, and you have to build up. I think the idea of building up via those weaker characters can still have a Dark Souls, can still completely be a Dark Souls game, where you're, and there'll always be the super punishing game right at the starting, but it feels to me like more people are starting. And the same thing happened with Elden Ring, where they were like, okay, we're going to change it to open world. And open world in and of itself made it easier, because there was just moments of respite. There were moments where you could back up and, short-term to long-term memory go, what didn't work? Because I'm not waking up next to the guy who's standing there going like, I'm going to kick your, you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
and you could see what you were going to. Sounds really weird, but I love the open world because if you were at a bonfire, you could see every enemy, and you could literally. This is such a nerdy thing for me to appreciate, but you could see the enemies that were going to respawn or not. It wasn't this curvature hub-based, you're going to go around a corner, there'll be a bad guy, and you have to remember where he is. You could literally sit at a bonfire and look around and be like, I cleaned out this area. If I reset everything, they're going to be back. And that would change your gameplay. You would literally go, you know what? I've got a little bit of health left. I'm going to try to peter out these two guys for some experience before I go back, for some souls before I go back. Little stuff like that have changed that genre. However, I am soulsed out. Really close to it. It has to be a unique world. I tried Beast because it was a unique world. That didn't work out as well as I was hoping. But it can't just be the typical Euro fantasy anymore. And I think I'm already starting to see so many samurai things that now we got some difficulty there. Which now moves me to the next one. Did you see the new Black Myth Wukong sequel, but not a sequel? Footage?
No, I'll look at it while we talk about it.
That game looks incredible. They released 15 minutes of Black Myth, not Wukong 2. And I got to tell you, man, like that game came out of nowhere. It didn't come out of nowhere for me. There was a lot of discussion about how it couldn't look as good as it did in the trailers. And I'm like, dude, there's nothing in any of these trailers that looks like they can't do it. And we got most of it. But that wasn't just it. We got a fun game, too. And we got a game that didn't feel exact like Dark Souls or exact like Sekiro or exactly like all these others.
It was really its own thing.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, that is some of the... Like, we were talking yesterday about like what we need for a Dark Souls. And I'm like, weirdly enough, whatever's going on with Black Myth, I sort of need that. Right now I'm okay with if there's another one coming, that's sort of I'm vested into that right away because it did feel different. And I felt like even though guys there was something about it that even I know some people have some issues with the very last level. There's one or two bosses. There's one massive boss. And then there's another one that people are like, holy shit, it took me like 200 tries. But I would say like, that's okay. That's sort of like if you were in a D&D game and there's that kung fu teacher who lives on a mountain. And if you beat him, you become the new legend. Expect to get your butt kicked for a while. Like, that's sort of the way it is. So I'm okay if it's occasional. And I just feel like Black Myth nailed it. And their footage, 15 solid minutes of just gorgeous footage. I mean, beautiful looking
this
game.
Looks incredible, man. The animations and everything.
Dude, watch the blocks and parries. The blocks hit weapon to weapon perfectly. And they like move the weapon as a real block you see in movies is like blade to blade, right? That's pretty fucking dangerous because blade to blade, you can break your sword pretty quick. So artists will do like blade slide. So when the hit happens, not all the force goes, it goes like boom, and then you move it at the same time. Right, it slides off. And just seeing that in this game, I was like, oh, what a glory. And then slowing it down and watching the animation and the collision detection, I was like, that's awesome. So excited for that one, too. 15 minutes is great to see, like, just how much that they can do in even a small amount of time. So that one was one of the very few that I could replay with no issues because there's so many different ways to go. I actually was very worried about the staff in that game, too. Man, I was very nervous. Staff or bow or Joe happens to be lowest. There's nothing I like less than that weapon. And by the time I was done, you've got those forms and you're leaping, you're crawling up to the top and you're, dude, I was just
landing
like
crits all the time. It's great.
Yeah, there's something to be said about the occasional game that has you forced into one. I mean, Way of the Sword's going to do that as well. It's going to force you into that. So we're going
like Sekiro. In some ways, you miss the variety. In other ways, it's,
And that one has a lot of variety once you start getting the skills, like Ghost, and once you start getting the what were they called at the time? Shinobi skills? Is that what they were called?
Shinobi
Sekiro?
skills.
Once you start getting that, you start being able to, like...
Yeah, you have more moves.
Yeah, you started
I still think that a lot of them, it basically looked very similar for every player because there were, like, clear...
workable
winners that
moves.
You would pick. Yeah, like moves that are really good that you can't really play without kind of thing. and you really wouldn't go for some others. So, but I liked what they did with Wukong, where the 3 styles you had were actually very good. You know, the 3 different styles. The big pogo stick worked really well, you know, and it really depended on the boss too. I don't know about you, but I found myself
I switched out
changing.
A lot.
Yeah, switching it up for some bosses.
You know what I don't like, though? We are definitely starting to get to the point where developers are learning that there are 2 ways to artificially inflate their game. Now, one way we've known forever, inventory management, right? We see it in Sinking City 2. You see it in other games where you're like, whenever anybody says it takes this many hours to beat, you're like, how much of that is inventory Tetris?
Yeah, inventory management.
And another,
Neo,
another huge negative, but is considered a positive, and it could be. It can be 50-50, and that is respecking. Respecking at its initial discussion sounds amazing. However, I'm starting to see games where you're definitely feeling like they've built in hours upon hours of respecking because it's not fast. In most games, it's not fast. And why would you want it to be fast? If it was fast, it would matter. It would mean that those skills matter less if you're really trying to mini-max your thing. And so the respecking thing starts to come up where you're like, dude, I feel like they're switching it up on purpose and that the respec is sort of a required 30 minutes 20 minutes of going in and now some people say, oh, I respec in seconds. That's true because there's an average. You respec in seconds. Somebody else may take an hour and somebody else may hit fast respec if that button exists. So I'm not bitching about the term or even the ability. I'm bitching because I already know. You play enough games, you pick up on it. And I previewed a couple games here that previews come out way later, but previewing the game and you're like, I can literally smell it in this game. Like it's, hey, look at us. Our game may take 60 hours, and there is a very high chance 8 to 10 of those is going to be respecking tons of skill, just like clicking a plus 0.005. We got a super chat. This is from R Green, $5 super chat. Wolverine, PS3 price is skyrocketing on eBay. Do you guys agree new Wolverine needs a ton of polish? Is more innovation needed industry-wide in AAA? So, PS3, that's funny. The new Wolverine, I don't know, man. I saw the videos of it. I've seen some videos that look really good, and then I saw their stuff they did for, like, I guess their event or whatever, and I was like, that... Like, it didn't sell me. You're just chasing somebody. Like, I just need to see more of that. So I don't really know. The stuff I saw last year, I think, where we all saw it during maybe the Game Awards, or maybe it was a Sony event, that looked awesome. But then the stuff I saw later, now, in the last week, was decidedly less so. And it made me go, did they just have a bad edit? Like, is that what we're seeing is a bad edit? Or are we seeing a really bad time where they wanted to show you your Cento vision, where you're basically just following a bad guy by the smell of his farts? I don't know. But
I haven't been able to unsee that since you mentioned
But that's what's happening. The line's literally coming from his butthole. Like, it's goofy. It's just daffy. But again, who knows, right? Who knows? So, and then in terms, more innovation needed industry-wide. No, not industry-wide in AAA. We need it industry-wide in all games, and it's not innovation. Innovation is not really technically possible until hardware changes something. We're really stuck. And I think we're stuck with 2D. I think VR is innovation, but we're staring at a screen, so there's only so many things you can do. I think innovation is a word YouTubers who do 2-hour videos want to drop all the time. And that they're not understanding that true innovation isn't even rarely done in the sciences. Well, let me give you an example. True innovation hadn't been done for years till CRISPR in science and in biology. CRISPR allowed for true innovation because it changed, almost reversed the way you were able to look at a problem. AI is doing the same thing, regardless if you love AI or not. We're literally now actually seeing huge impacts positively of AI in research. We're actually seeing there was a new, test/study of a new medication that just came out, and then a new antibody, and they were a new antibiotic, and they were like, that like this is where we want to be able to go, because for whatever reason humans weren't thinking that way. Innovation also doesn't reward right now, guys. I don't think innovation rewarded even back in the day, but innovation doesn't reward. Innovation costs a ton more money, probably double, to do what you want if you want to really change up the world. And if that doesn't succeed, you've now wasted double on something that everybody's going to question you and go, I mean, how many times have we seen this? You get a discussion about a sequel and somebody says, I can't believe they made a sequel. And then somebody else is just really happy they made a sequel. And you're like, okay, so if the sequel's better and you really like it, but there's no innovation, there's just reiteration and iterate. I'm really happy with iteration and additive changes. But I think innovation is such a BS word now. Like it's used for everything. Though you'll get new gamepad.
So one new element in the game is innovation.
A new button, and they'll be like, never seen before. And you're like, dude, it's all seen. But when was the last time we had like an innovation in games? It's almost always tied to a tech, like hard drives being in systems. That's when you can start to do real innovation. You go away from the day of your ready state where whatever cartridge you plug in, that's all you've got. And that's your state. There's no, you can't save the way we think. You can't go back and adjust things and hold on to their data. You don't have a big memory pool. Then you get a hard drive, and now you're like, oh shit. And we had VMUs, and we had people really innovating and trying different stuff. Seaman came out on the Dreamcast, and that was like 25 years ago, 26 years ago.
Very poor name, by the way.
Poor name, pissy fish. You're just like, but that was innovative. It was a sim. It was basically an AAI, not dating simulator, friend simulator, piece of shit, best friend simulator. I guess I don't know what you call it, but it was that was innovative. No one saw that coming. No one would have been like, dude, you talk to your control. What the fuck? Like that is awesome. It's very difficult. And every single time I talk to devs and I ask about innovation, they're pretty much saying the same thing. They're like, the innovation.
Interesting. See,
it's a bad
I always thought
word,
about it. I always thought about it a little differently. And I don't know if it maps onto what you're saying, because I always thought it was when we see that like a new genre or subgenre gets created because a game does something kind of new, right? So like the roguelite stuff was a big thing, like Souls was a big thing. We got a lot of these where a game pops up and it kind of creates a wave where now everybody wants to explore that. That to me feels like innovation in games. Is that fair?
No, I don't. I think that's reductive and subtractive, especially if you're taking something that's bigger and subgenre-ing it. You're basically, I guess to me, that's what I'm saying. But when you look at roguelike, it's not new. That's where the name came from a game that's 20 years old.
Yeah, it's roguelike. I get what you mean.
So
yeah, it's not.
I mean, and all of the save game states we saw in Dark Souls or whatever, that is a return and a mix of different save games and save states and death systems that existed in other games. For example, die, enemies respawn. Well, that's been done for years. Okay, but this one lets you purposely die at a bonfire. You're not dying, but
reset the state.
So are we going to go so far to use the word innovation for that? Because if we are, that's pretty crazy to use the word innovation, especially when you look up, I just think innovation is used by companies that want to sell you their new headphones.
There's some of that.
It's overused. Yeah. I'm sure there's times where you look at something, you're like, okay, that is innovation. But I do think that once we locked ourselves into hardware of a certain type, displays of a certain type, we tried 3D displays. Now 3D is an innovation. 3D is from like fucking 50 years ago, with red and blue glasses. But we tried that. That didn't work. VR, that somewhat works. AR is probably innovation when somebody creates a way that just sort of, you see it and you're like, okay, that's changing the world around me. But
you're thinking a lot about the substrate. Yeah. Like, what it's running on, what can we display? What can we... I was more so thinking about like what we are doing with those tools.
I don't think those are innovative is what I'm saying. I think that what I'm saying is I don't think any of those are innovative. I think innovation requires
it's not truly new, I guess.
Change.
It's more like
It's just
repurposing
it's iterative, and
what we
there's
have, reuse.
what I'm saying, Johnny, is I just think the word it's just
It
completely
has been
misused
overused
and overused
for sure.
And instead, people think they have to do it. And I'm going to be honest. How many games do you love? How many games do I love? How many games in the chat do people love that probably have nothing that's innovative at all? It's a good story. It's a fun gameplay mechanic.
It does it all well, but
it's
not necessary. Yeah.
I think innovation also probably is never seen on the first run. I think we might see something innovative and not know. Like VR, VR's tried 3 times. There might be a time when VR finally is innovative. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, oh, they get it right, where size is right, heat is right, power is right, display is right, and suddenly, but even that's not innovative because you have to put a game in it. Do you know what I would say? This is not innovative, but I would say a place that makes you and I, we just talked about this a couple weeks ago, that makes you go, wow, I forgot that exists. Games within games is starting to become such a big deal. Your Roblox with games in it, your Fortnite with games in it. Now, I'm not polishing those games, saying they're even good, but I'm saying that is it's a modulation on mods, but it's where you start to look at it and go, wow, that's its own store. For good or worse, there's some innovation there that you might see. Like, for example, it hasn't happened, but Assassin's Creed, there were these rumors that at some point, you know, what if you had a hero that was able to go into every one of the games at any time? And you could you weren't playing Jacob in Syndicate. You were playing this hero that was like maybe going to he had to go into all the games, and there was this merge, almost like a universe, like a home for PlayStation or something. Dude, PlayStation, that's one of them. PlayStation Home, innovative. It is crazy to think PlayStation Home was considered innovative when it quite literally was a slower system that had you walk around to turn something on. It was immersive. And immersive and innovation do not have to in any way, shape, or form touch each other. There's not you can have something that's innovative that isn't immersive at all. And I just think it's overused, you know.
It is. It's certainly overused.
Yeah. It's this is Rogerio. It's a buzzword today. A lot of innovation, especially in indies, comes from merging different game genres instead of making something truly unique. Unique's hard, guys. Unique's hard.
And sometimes unique is bad too. You know, you can have a unique idea and there's a reason nobody's done it sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, wanted to give a quick shout out to Kazik for the Prime sub on Twitch. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. I thought I had Twitch up and running, but I realized I shut it down because I couldn't sign into the damn thing. God, Twitch sucks. Man, every time they make everything harder than it should be. I have a lot of uniquely bad ideas. Yeah, me too. Yeah. But again, listen,
I think also
if we see innovation, I'm going to be the first one to I'll be crowing it. If
will say, okay.
If my requirements are higher than everybody else's, that's fine too. Because when you hear me saying that is innovation, you should damn well be prepared for something.
It's going to be
something. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I like that because it's forcing us in the opposite direction of overusing the word, you know, diluting the meaning of the word. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for the question. Did you also see that Riot gave up on 2XKO?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, I mean, the game was not even out, right? I think it was still...
Maybe it was early access or whatever,
beta?
Or their beta.
I think it was still beta.
That's right.
Yeah, so
man. They got the
December
money.
This year, they got the money and they had a lot of like sunken cost into that. Already, you know, they put a lot of work into that creative development and they chose to pull the plug.
Yeah.
I guess that's how brutal it is right now in the industry. Like if your product is not really kicking ass, it's not going to be worthwhile.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who really like that one. It was considered one of the more enjoyable ones. We got some people in the Discord who played it a bunch. It seemed to be from a company that you're able to look at and say they can support it if they want. But whatever numbers they ran,
they got some buffer.
They were just like, we're seeing this attrition and it's not going to work out, you know? And I think that that's one of those things that when you look at like 2XKO, you look at SNK Games, all these, well, not just them, but you look at the 2D fighter area, you really do have to launch it, because I don't know if you just saw, but Token also didn't do well. Marvel Token. I think it sold 3,000 copies in Japan, of all places. Yeah, it was.
Damn, dude.
We live in hard times, man.
Wow, that is.
And then you'll see these games, like, I can't even tell you the name of one, but you'll see these games that just, they don't look like they should sell, but I think a lot of it is driven by influencers, streamers, and excitement.
Sure. And hype, FOMO.
Bases of excitement, right? Like, this base of excitement pops up, and you're like, boom, and then you go off, and like that excitement lasts for a small amount of time. Abiotic Factor was that way. There's a lot of games where people will be like, this game's going to explode, and you're like, listen, and that's going to be awesome if it does. But we definitely are seeing these pocket excitement explosions so much. I just hope more devs don't apply towards that. I don't want a dev to make a game towards pocket explosions of excitement, because while climaxes are fun, you want to have sex more than once. You
shouldn't plan around that. It's almost like if you want to be a superstar, like a football player or soccer for you guys, like it's just not likely.
Yeah,
not a good plan.
Not a good plan. Not a good plan when you're a kid. Everybody who's a kid is like, I want to be an astronaut, and you're like, okay, can I explain to you? I'm not saying not to do it. I just want to make sure that you're aware that the restrictions to become an astronaut are quite high, and the pay quite low, and the chance of death is higher than normal.
Yeah.
When
you think about it, actually, it's not the greatest career unless you're super duper motivated to.
Or you turn it into something, like some of these guys who've come back have turned YouTube channels.
Sure.
I think that's.
Oh yeah, Scott. What was his name?
I can't remember, but Scott's done it. Yeah. The older skinny guy Scott, who reviewed Gravity and a couple others for Variety. Then he got his own channel. That's going to be your way of of grabbing onto your minutes of fame. And
when they explain the kind of stuff they have to go through in the space station and things like that, to even like take a poop, it's ridiculous, man. It's traumatizing to even hear about it, let alone to imagine maybe months of that for some people.
I think being an astronaut when I was a kid, I thought was awesome. But then I grew up right when there were multiple, crashes, deaths. Then you saw the later ones, crashes, deaths, and you're like, all right, I see how it is.
A bit of a shit gig.
It's a bit of a shit gig, yeah. It can, and let's be honest, if you're a Top Gun Navy pilot or whatever, you're probably going to get more chicks than if you're NASA, if that's your thing, if you want to be the cool guy on the street. Chuck Yeager was an amazing, super talented, and very, 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 I guess you would say, there was a lot of diverse discussion around if he was, a good guy or a nice guy to be around. But he was super popular, so popular he had his own video games, Chuck Yeager's Test Pilot and all that kind of stuff. But that's one guy out of all these guys. You don't see one of these astronauts coming back being like, okay, we're gonna do a video game based on me or something like that. So YouTube channel smart. Yeah, I think that was really smart. But anyway, Riot Games gives up. That's December, ends. Servers will remain online though. It's just development. They didn't say how long. That's
what's interesting about Riot? They have released a classic version of League, so it's almost like a WoW classic. So the game looks pretty similar to how it looked like maybe 13 years ago, and you could see the massive difference. Yeah, and the character, like the heroes and stuff, or the champions, work like they used to back then. So a lot of their abilities have now been reworked and that type of stuff. So you have like a lot of those champions, you can play the classic version that has like that old stuff. And it's within the same client, but then it's its own different thing, standalone mode.
I mean, is that their version of a remake? Or is it a remaster?
Yeah, I think it's like for nostalgia, and because it's all in the same client, it also it gives people another
easier
mode to play.
Another
maybe
mode.
Like a fun mode. Yeah.
Makes sense. Smart way to do it. You want people to keep engaging. Speaking of engaging, I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of. I have a feeling we're going to see, I guess you would call it, an exodus, an engaging of the exodus of game developers from EA, because, dude, that deal was $55 billion. They have billions every single year they have to pay back, and now you have all these developers worried about ramifications for their development teams. I'm sure you heard the story that, like, is Mass Effect up for sale, as an IP, like, which Mass Effect's a little like Halo, except Halo's continue to do fairly well, even if you don't like their games. It's like they had the Master Chief Collection for sure. They had some glitches, but it's like, as a game, where I think Mass Effect with Andromeda was such a big hit. But they sort of fix some of that with, like, they have their special editions, their trilogy, editions. People are still into Mass Effect, but I don't know how many people are into it to be able to buy it from EA to the amount that EA would feel that they should sell it to pay back the Saudi group. Because there's 3 different directions that money would go, and they all have to agree. So, like, a person who wants to buy it would have to pay enough that it would make sense for them to sell it, that would make sense enough for them to use that sale money to pay back versus making their own. You know what I mean? So, like, you have these weird situations with some of their IPs. But I have a question for you. You wake up tomorrow. Mass Effect has been sold. Who buys it?
Microsoft.
Yeah, dude. I don't think they will. But that was they're probably the only ones with cash. But that's
going to be the next big blockbuster for them,
That is so funny because, dude, it's popped into my mind 10 times. It popped into my mind the very first moment I saw thoughts of, and even when the Saudi group was thinking of buying it, you were just like, dude, if they do have to sell, who would? And yeah, it just popped up. It was like, Microsoft. Yeah, for sure. But
I guess
Sony,
it doesn't fit with.
It doesn't fit with their plans. I don't think it fits with Sony's either. Yeah, because they got to find a buyer, right? You know who a buyer would be good? You go talk to some of these billionaires who are moonshotting other things, and try to get them to moonshot a game. So right now, whenever you watch anything about moonshot and stuff, you hear a lot of people talking about AI, but there's a billion other things, whether it be healthcare, whether it be whatever, that really isn't connected to AI. That's moonshotting. Moonshotting means, like, taking whatever your one thing is and putting every single thing behind it, hoping that it's that big success. I could see going to, like, an investor going to Mark Rubin or one of these guys and being like, hey, you've not been into games before. It's $1 billion industry, and it's a little depressed right now, and most guys don't buy it high, they buy it low. So it's like, if this did succeed, look where these other games have succeeded and how well they've done, and try to. And they happen to be less influenced by the market up and they're accustomed more to loss. They're accustomed more to things taking longer. So, like, it seems like that might be a good group. I don't know if they're good people, but that's neither here nor there. There's not a single good people in a good person in the world. Everybody likes to pretend like they're the best person in the world. And it's like, dude, I've never met them. I've never met the people everybody pretends they are on the internet. I would love to. So yeah, we'll just have to see, man. Underperforming projects will probably be cut. We'll probably see some, some employees be cut.
Yeah, I think Mass Effect would be such a big gamble to take for any studio out there, because it's been so many years since the last game. So there's nothing left, to kind of pick up. It's a lot different if you think about, for example, Insomniac with Wolverine, although that's quite, it's quite new. They have a lot to pick up from and piggyback off with their other games. And you expect that a lot of that stuff is going to be recognizable, it's going to be in there. But with an old game like Mass Effect, especially since the games that really did well were, the original trilogy, not Andromeda, that's so many years ago now that really you're looking at pretty much only some reference material, right? There's not much you can reuse there.
Yeah.
It's going to be a massive challenge to live up to that too, when you put the name on it.
Bep says, if the Anthem IP wasn't burned to a crisp, that world's interesting. I fully agree.
Yeah, it had potential for sure.
Let's see. Johnny's been playing League for 13 years.
No.
I thought you've only
like
been playing
3,
for like 4. Oh, okay.
Yeah, 3-4 years.
Somebody said Mark Darrow will buy Mass Effect. No. Elon Musk. No. I mean, Elon could, but Elon's completely full into video cards, and I mean, a lot of these guys are looking at like things that are well outside of games. I mean, that's where it's not all AI and chips where the money's going. It's where true investment is just not coming into games. To speak how bad it was, July is one of the worst years on record for video games. That's pretty sad. And definitely for consoles forever. Yeah.
Like the industry, like how much the industry is making.
Yeah, the sales of consoles absolutely cratered. I'll get the story that I was reading.
Tanked.
Give me 1 second.
Well, every console has raised prices, right?
Every console's raised prices, and I'm going to tell you right now, I think the biggest problem too is that Sony. Now, this is between like you and me and people listening. It's not the normal people. A person doesn't care about this, so this is sort of nerdy. But the biggest indicator there was a problem was there were some sales. There were huge sales in 1 month for Sony, and then they died out. And people are like, "Oh, it's just because the sales ended or whatever." They hadn't ended. What had happened was the customer base that wanted to get one had got one. So that means your decision, it doesn't mean you don't like PlayStation. It doesn't mean you don't like Xbox. It doesn't mean you don't like Switch. Switch is still doing pretty well. But it means that whether it be the price or what's available or whatever, it's now become a point to where there's just no desire to get one. And they cratered. And they cratered quick. And it's a little bit like people were complaining about consumer memory cost, which is a very real thing, obviously. It's insane. But we have also caused a bit of it. I'm not blaming us. I'm saying just by the steps in which we did it. You hear there's a problem, you go and buy toilet paper. Now there's no toilet paper, so now there's a problem with toilet paper. Because we, including myself, we just don't have the ability to like think as a group in the long term. One person can.
Yeah.
But as a group.
And we can't coordinate.
There's no coordination.
We can't do a big coordination problem between all of us.
So listen to this. Here we go. Hardware spending fell 30% year over year. The lowest U.S. hardware spending for a July since 2020, when it was 163. So it's still better than that, but the COVID times, pre-COVID times, it got pretty low. Unit sales declined year over year across every single current console platform. PS5 unit sales were down 6%. Switch 2 finished number 1 in units, while PS5 was number 1 in hardware dollar sales, like the amount. That'll switch when Nintendo raises their price, right? Because that's hardware sale. Like, that's actually what you're making from them. And Switch 2 will go up in price. Overall, U.S. video game consumer spending, not merely consoles, fell over 10%.
Damn.
And remember, that's over 10% from the fall it had already had. So, like, once you start looking at percentages of already bad percentages, you're like, damn. July isn't occurring in isolation. It says June hardware spending had already fallen 62%. So take the 62%, the other 10. 62% year over year.
Wow. I mean, that's disastrous.
Yeah. Like they state, Switch 2 had ballooned sales a little bit, so the 62% drop is less impactful than you would think because Switch had released in that time frame, raised those numbers up, so the drop, isn't as big as it would have been.
Yeah, but because we don't have a new console.
Yeah.
Splashing.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to see, man. We're gonna have to see. I still want to know what everybody thinks about the console price. I'm sorry, but I think the new console prices are going to be ridiculous. I'm going to check my battery on. I'm going to be here. I'm just checking the battery on my phone so it doesn't turn off. Anyway, continue.
I'm curious if the Steam machine is considered a console at this point.
If the Steam machine's considered a console?
Yeah. Do you view it as a console?
I
or
do.
More like just a PC Lite?
Yeah, I do. I view it as a console.
Yeah.
I think that it may be Yeah, it's a console. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, Steam Deck, people would say,
Yeah.
is like a portable console.
Yeah, and it'd be very difficult to look at it and say it's not. I mean, it's its own. It's its own thing. It's got its own OS. It's a little different than like the Windows handhelds, but in a way, yeah, it's its own thing. The frame will be its own thing.
Their own ecosystem. So
yeah. It's gonna be, dude. It's gonna be a unique year. I hope these games do well. I'm a little worried for September, my friend, because I'm looking at the review lists for September, the games that are out, codes that are out, coverage that's out, and I'm like, damn, some of these games that in a year, 3 years past, maybe would have sold gangbusters by the sheer fact that they're this or they're that. I think are gonna disappear. Like, just evaporate. Yeah, come out and evaporate. Like, instantly evaporate. I mean, in a way, you could say this is why a lot of people are hoping GTA comes out and just gets over with, so that there isn't, you can talk about what's going on in the game, but there's no more mystery, because I think the mystery is what everybody's reporting on. People are far more interested in that, and even talking about it, writing an article on it, than they are, Sinking City 2 or something. Speaking of Sinking City 2, let's talk about that. So the reviews in this one are weird a little bit. They have sort of a lower number review, but a higher in your, basically there's two types of number that goes on, especially on OpenCritic, which, by the way, still by far the best than Metacritic. But basically what it does is you've got your number, and then you've got critics recommend. And then critics recommend against other games of this sort that critics have in the past recommended or not. The recommend is pretty high. Comparatively to the numbers. There's been some really low reviews. There's been some mediocres, some super high ones. Every single game in the world is divergent when it comes to reviews. There's always, Twilight Princess getting a 1 from somebody. But I would say my review was a wait, but only because, well, there were some tech issues for sure. And then there was some stuff that, man, after you get a ways in the game, some things really start to like double down. And this might be one of maybe 10 games I've ever played in my life where I can tell you HDR missing is such an extraordinarily huge gap. Because this is a jet black game. It's dark so often. It needs a separation of its light and darks as much as you possibly can. And there are times where you're playing it and you're like, wow, I can tell it's missing. Even if like HDR isn't your thing for the most part, this is one of those games that really I looked at and I was like, damn, that's rough. They also didn't have FSR, which is super rough for a good number of your fans who are playing it on a different video card. A lot of inventory space. I was telling Reg this morning that when I was going through the review footage to edit, I got physically angry. Mad, generally pissed that so much of my footage was the inventory, because you were in your inventory all the time.
That ties back to what you were saying before. It's almost built into the game, right? That's going to be like how you get to the playtime.
I don't think this is bloated, meaning I don't think there's any plan that this is going to add hours, because they weren't celebrating the number of hours in the game. You didn't hear this game's open world and there's 80 hours. It was a linear service game. So not service, sorry, but it was a linear style game.
Yeah.
But dude, I'm telling you, trying to scrub that footage, I've never...
You got burned in on your monitor. It was
I've never been so mad in my life. I would get a quarter of a good section, and I would scroll just a tiny bit past, and I realized I went into my inventory because I had ran out of bullet, and I had to do that, and then I had to move this, and then I only got this many spots, so you have to move this back to that, and then you have to make sure that the spots are the same, because for some reason a shotgun can't go in a certain direction. That kind of stuff. And you're just like, oh my God. And it sucks because also this is a horror game. So let me give you an example of where Sinking City 2 is at its best and at its worst. At its best, you're on a boat and they don't even know why the city's flooded. That's scary in and of itself, because you're like, what the hell? How does this city flood? You have cars for people escaping. You've got these old style cars with guys with like horns going like, evacuate the city. There's almost a World War II, your city's being bombed kind of feel to it. And you're moving around into these places and you're just starting to find shit's gone wrong. And you were involved in stuff that went wrong personally, but you didn't know it was this bad outside. You were doing something over here, and then you come into this world and you're like, whoa, what the hell? Like, my original problem is still there, but now it's doubly so because there's dead people and there's like this flooded city, and the sense of atmosphere and the sense of a really good story, man. So listen, Cthulhu normally, they buy into the Elder Gods. What's one of the biggest things about the Elder Gods? Unknowing. You have no clue what their plans are. That's why in Elder God games, Cthulhu games, you have a bad guy working against a bad guy. The bad guy will help you, but he's not a bad guy. He's not a good guy. He's literally just as bad as a bad guy, but because they're doing their own things, right? So this story, I was genuinely intrigued. It does have a relationship in ways, and I was genuinely impressed with maybe not the acting in it, which was fine, but just my care. Like, I was like, whoa, I actually, I knew what happened at the starting. I'm like, okay, how's he going to do this? And then they change it up 3/4 of the way through in a big way that I was like, wow, I did not expect like this change, which is gonna change every bit of every step I ever take and who I'm talking to and what I'm doing. So there's all these great things. That's when it's at its best, man. And it's sense of creep. There's doors you got to open by taking off shaved human faces that somebody's cut their faces off.
Oh, wow.
And you're like putting the face on your face and like looking into security doors. Admittedly, this is 1920s. Security doors didn't exist then, but they even show you why that would work, or why the magic of it all. Great stuff.
Some good monsters in this. Did you find like some good
that's
Cthulhu
sort of
stuff?
the bad thing. Cthulhu monsters and Cthulhu monsters and video games don't overlap very well because Cthulhu has a couple monsters, but they're not there with a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 video game monster edition monster manual. Their job is not to make sure that you as a human feel like you're taking on the low guys, then the medium guys, then the high guys, and they all come together at once. Cthulhu's not like that. That would be ridiculous.
Right.
It would be so, it's not a fucking wave game. So instead, once you start to get that, it's rough. Once you start to like see that repetition, you're like, okay, this guy's going to do this and that guy's going to do that. When you're in the hospital, that feels great because they're humans. I think the best bad guys in this game are people who are woo, because that means anything can happen. There's some NPCs you meet and you're like, what the fuck? That was awesome. So there's that. But yeah, there really isn't. There's a lot of just shooting the same kind of bad guy, because Cthulhu just doesn't resonate with, here's your locust with acid, here's your locust with acid and armor. It would be
leveling up.
Yeah. So, but you see, they try. And then the worst part is, well, HDR is pretty rough. I would just say that the worst part is probably that the combat is just okay. It does have some tech issues, not a ton. It's got some. And that there are some parts that are so Resident Evil heavy that you just it's so exasperated, man. They really overstay their welcome. And I was watching Walt. He was in our Discord yesterday, and he was in this one place for hours. And it just has that feel of a Resident Evil 1 house where the entire game is based in a house. Yeah. But they should get kudos. I still think they got the best story, I would say, by far, in a Call of, even though it's not like the most grandiose, it doesn't have to be. Just a good, solid story that you...
keeps you locked in.
It kept me locked in.
That's what you need.
And you know me, I'm not the biggest. Like, a story is going to have to be delivered well or delivered. And they did. That's the other thing. They deliver it clearly because the way the missions are, it's not all about you. It's about these things that have occurred while you're trying to do a thing. So instead of being like, some games try to put everything as a spider web, and once again, now you're like, why am I so important? This game has that a bit. But there's enough going on that makes you feel like this is a world that existed prior to me, and these people are pretty fucking creepy. And boy, you go into some of these spots, man, you're like, what was happening in here? Dude, there was some creep factor 5 in that game where you're like in a spot going like, dude, I don't know what happened in here, but I think it involves some questionable activities. It's just like, and there's way worse stuff than killing people, let me tell you that. Like, there's some stuff that happens in that game where I'm like, I think they're hinting at shit I don't want to talk about. So I think that was good. A bum named Walt, $5. As a guy that buys just about every new game, HDR is not an option in 2026. It's unacceptable. Oh, you mean to lack it? Yeah. Yeah, it's too bad, man. Yeah, there's no excuse. Yeah, it should be done, I guess. This is the way it is. Rogerio, what's up, dog? Rogerio says, it's such a weird double down to focus on combat and survival horror. It was always their weakest point. It is, but I got to say, they did a pretty good job. That was I got to give them kudos. They took everything that they did shitty from Sinking City 1, and they said, that's what we're doing in Sinking City 2, which is not what I expected. I was like, what? Because they could have built Sinking City 2 built on the framework of an open world and fix some stuff, and instead they're like going the different route. Yeah. And a lot of it works. I got to let this dog out before he pisses on my floor. All right. Can you read the questions? I'm listening in Discord. I'm just going to, it'll be one.
Yeah. Let's go, buddy. Mask on or off says facts HDRD to be in all games. Yeah, I'm kind of coming around to it, but I think the option needs to be there. Also needs to be easier to dial in, because a lot of games I turn on HDR and it just looks worse until I can really dial it in. And I feel like a lot of times games don't give you a good way to do it. You'll have like a brightness switch and that's it. So that would be nice. But yeah, for a game like that, you'd really need it. Is it hard to navigate the inventory? I'm getting BG3 PTSD. That's what I've been hearing as well. Yeah. I feel really conflicted about inventory because a lot of times it can be fun, but it's also such a chore in some games. I keep remembering like Neo in those games and trying to manage my inventory and items, and then like upgrading them and getting to the end game and doing so much stuff. And I go back and forth on whether or not I had a good time doing the inventory stuff. And I think for the most part, it wasn't that great. I think a lot of games, they go a bit too far on it. Resident Evil, I don't mind too much, with the Tetris thing, because they keep it simple. It's not like you have this.
Say hi.
Yo!
Say hi. Bones, say hello. He's like, I just want down. I just want down.
Who's a good boy?
Who's a good boy? Yeah, I would agree. HDR overall probably needs to be in everything. He was saying, is inventory as bad as like, it's not. No, it's not as bad as like a game that's an RPG. It's just that you get in there and, sometimes you just, it's very difficult when a game is trying to scare you and you're like, please stand by. I'm jumping in my inventory. It's weird. And I'm not saying I want a non-pausable inventory by all means.
Let me just fix my backpack real quick.
Yeah, but you're like, or there's something and you're like, let me grab that. And by the way, it does what I call the cardinal sin or the clip sin. You pick up a clip for a gun that you have no bullets in, but you have to put it in the inventory before you can put it in the gun.
Ah.
And I'm like, dude.
That's so terrible.
Even if I had 6 bullets in a 7-bullet gun, I would still probably go and put the new one in. Why can't I do that? And at least the multiple times I tried, if I was filled up in the inventory and was out of bullets, I couldn't grab it and load it in. It just wasn't working.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a bug or if that was, I don't think it was, because all the guns were doing that. So it was just like, but could
yeah, and especially in that time of like, what would you say? Like panic if you're fighting an enemy or if you're running away from something. The last thing you want to do is have to stop to micromanage your inventory so that you can carry this plant you found. You want to be able to just pick that up and then sort it out later,
Yeah. What I liked about the game also is that a lot of the investigations, there wasn't a lot of like mystery in the game. You weren't finding a lot of secrets. There were a couple of these like threads that you knew were threads. They weren't the true story. And going on those threads was fun. If you chose to. You always got something good. You'd get like a silencer for the gun, or, you know, but not a silencer, but like a muzzle velocity or muzzle. Muzzle. Sorry. So you get some stuff. Yeah, it's pretty good. But hopefully they do well, because I think, you know, I did have issues with it, and I think it's at a pretty good price. So $10 lower than you would expect. But I had problems requisite with that price, because I thought about that price for a while when I was reviewing it. I was like, well, it is $10 cheaper. But there was just enough that I was like, yes, it doesn't matter. Like, especially when you get done with something and you feel a sense of like unease and discouragement, which was then pretty keenly compared to, damn, that story was well done. Like it was 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I feel like I got the story beats I wanted, but you're just like, goddamn, getting there though was rough. Like it is, and
some rough stuff.
I don't want people to watch videos of it, you know, because I don't. I think experiencing it, especially with the stuff said while you're adventuring, is part of the story. So, Snuggles, $20 super chat. Just wanted to show some support. Thank you very much, Snuggles, and I hope you're enjoying Yakuza. I saw you said you were playing those. We got a lot of people going back to these series that they've never played that have a bunch of games. I saw people doing Yakuza, Lost Judgment, Final Judgment, whatever. And then I saw somebody jumping into Tales or Trails as well. They'd never played any of them. They were going to jump in. Now, that's like half your life for the next 25 years.
Yeah, Trails is the one that Reg was doing, right?
Yeah.
The massive series of games.
But I always like to see people getting into Yakuza, because I feel sort of a kindred spirit, because I got in way late.
Yeah.
I mean, I was that thing. There were multiple titles that were out before I played my first one. I was like, oh damn, they did like those are some sweet ass games. And it's hard to get back to those sometimes. So glad somebody else is playing them. Yeah, the Trails and Tales series are rough. With Yakuza though, I can't wait until that new game comes out from them. That
looks
something of the century. Enough. Is that what it's called?
That got me excited. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't even, I mean, we know somewhat what it is. I just want to play it. It looks good. Looks unique enough. I'm assuming he'll be done with most of the Yakuzas by the time that comes out.
Hopefully no more Hawaii. I had a good time in it, but
are we talking Hawaii? Or, well, yeah, are you talking Hawaii? Or are you talking about that island? Because most of the Yakuzas are not in Hawaii. I think you're talking about the island, aren't you?
Well, no, I mean both. But okay. I was thinking, because they kind of reused a lot of stuff for the pirate game, I felt like.
They did. Yeah. Yeah. Positive to them that they can do it and still be a fun game, but it's definitely noticeable in these recent games where you're like, okay, now we're starting to see, especially because we're binging it. Right? There's no 2 years or 3 years. I think if I was playing this as everybody else had, and it was every 2 years as a game, I think Man Who Forgot His Name, right? Is that what it's called? Yep. I think that one might have been a 1 year. I don't think, because I think it was that and then Pirate, and they were really close. But I think it would be easier to take. But it's like if you decide to binge them, it can be really weird, because it can actually be difficult to tell which game you're playing in that first group of games. Because they're all, overlapping characters, overlapping things, locations. On the other hand, it looks fantastic for what it's doing. The Dragon engine is a huge bonus. Huge bonus. Like that engine is going into the noodle shops and shit, or going into the grocery stores and seeing everything modeled and stuff, all the different types of noodles and foods and stuff. And even though you can't,
that's cool.
You can't like whatever, grab it. It doesn't matter. It's just like, that's such a good feel. I don't know what that means, servant. Sorry. All right, let's see. What else we got here? War Inspector retired, which sucks. He's your immersive sim god guy. He's like basically one of the fathers of immersive sims. I'm also almost 100% sure he's the reason Double Fine still exists. because I believe it was when Double Fine won an award for game design. When the president went up to talk, he stated, I believe it was Warren, but he stated that they were out of money and he couldn't pay his payroll, and Warren Spector fronted him like
damn
millions to pay it all. So, yeah.
Wow.
Announced on August 18th, he's retiring from active game development after making games for 44 years. The important thing he's stated and want people to know is it's not that he's an old developer who retired. He said he just really doesn't feel like it's very fun anymore. And I would probably say that he's saying what a lot of people are thinking right now. That it can be rough.
It's a rough time, and it's also that's a long ass time.
Yeah, it's a long ass time to do anything, even if it's porn. Deus Ex, System Shock, Ultima, Thief, Wing Commander, Epic Mickey. Yeah.
Damn.
Yep. It sucks, man. I like, because he makes the games I like, man. I mean, all those are my immersive sim games, you know. And maybe that's why he feels like it's not fun, because making an immersive sim can't be fun either right now. I feel like making an immersive sim has to be the most unfun of all the games to make right now, because they don't pay off almost ever in sales, and people expect a great deal from them because they are an immersive sim. There's a feeling it just take a long time.
Super hard to make, high expectations, hardcore fan base, but not like great return.
Yeah.
It's a shame though. I do want to see like a comeback for that genre.
I do too. I just don't know how you do it, man. Solely with the super chat. Thank you very much. $10. Remember, you don't have to do super chats if you're not a member. You can also just become a member of the Discord. Go in there, get some secret podcasts, get some cool shit, and you also support the channel. And Sully's in there though. I just am saying that for other people. Want to make sure people don't think I'm forgetting that Sully's a part of our special group that worships Cthulhu every night in our voice chats. People think the voice chats is just us people talking. It's not. Mostly worshiping the elder gods. 99% of it's that. And some sex talk.
We're just channeling a spell.
Yep.
For years now.
For years. Pretty unsuccessful. If it's taken us this long and we haven't successfully like made a money doubling spell, pretty unsuccessful. Sort of sucks. But what else do we got for questions in Discord?
Let's see. Didn't really get any questions. I need to ask people again, see if they want to say something.
Yeah, I mean, that's
funny thing.
That's on me. Huh? I posted. I didn't know it was Friday.
Oh, we didn't really post about it.
Dude, I didn't even post that we were going. I didn't post anything. I thought it was Tuesday.
I posted we were going live, but I just noticed we didn't post about the thread, so people can ask questions. If anyone has questions now, feel free to put them in the chat. I see some people maybe typing in there. I was going to mention to you, did you see there's a new update to Skyrim?
I saw you post that, but I didn't know what it meant. You mean it's just, is it a Gennaro update where we don't know what's caused it so far? Is that sort of
kind of? Yeah. Well, it's so let me find the details of that, because it was kind of funny that after all this time they actually have an update for the special edition. So they expanded console mod limit to 15 GB. Redesigns the Creation storefront and fixes Steam Deck and Creation Kit crashes.
Sweet.
And a few other improvements. So it's cool. I just thought it was so random. Like, 10 years or longer than like since the game came out? But
yeah, longer. Listen, man. Especially at some point, if you've got different versions of Windows doing updates, at some point you're going to have to update your system. So not every update's going to mean something, but adding more space to the mods is always helpful. That kind of stuff, because especially as people keep modding the older game, they're going to keep putting bigger textures. You know, they're going to be like, oh, there's this, and that. There's a lot of vibe coding going on. There's one vibe coded mod I played that. Listen, I'm okay if people get mad about this, but like I saw the mod. It's quite literally a mod I've wanted for years and just never had the time myself to make it. And the guy was like, "Yeah, I vibe coded this. Here's what I did. It works on my machine. I did some testing. Some people won't do testing. And I played it. I'm like, damn, man, it's pretty crazy to be able to play the thing I wanted to do." So we're starting to see that too. I hope there's some controls on that, but I hope there's some controls on anybody creating stuff. So I guess I shouldn't even say how you create it. I mean, we're getting into the discussion in the weeds sometimes for this kind of stuff, where it's like pretty soon you sad developers are going to have to make sure that you have nothing, not even autocomplete in your VS Code, because that'll be considered bad.
Yeah.
You got to make it with the fucking sweat of your brow and the stone of your balls.
The barest of tools.
Yeah. You're going to give you an abacus, a piece of stone, and they'll record you the entire time you're making the game. Be like, nothing. Can't have those clankers.
With that said, though, where do you think like the right places for AI are? You know, when you look at an engine like Unreal 5, you know, is it gonna be like automating certain animations and things like that, so people don't need to implement them in such detail? Like, where do you actually view it's going to be the biggest impact, like where people are going to be using it for real games?
Replication and duplication and repetitiveness will be the three that, like, I mean, it sounds weird. You've done this, you know, depending on what software you use, maybe you copy pasted 50 times in the day or in the last hour, sorry. And maybe you now have a Windows app that you downloaded, open source or whatever, that allows for you to have a much larger copy paste clipboard. This is all before AI, but those are indicators of, hey, there's some problems here with like how data moves between systems, merging of systems. How does Premiere get something exported and into something else? That kind of stuff. That's where I see a lot of the stuff in Unreal. And I think also with Unreal, you're just gonna. They're a company that'll probably give you the tools and just say you use them and you reap the. It's almost like hentai. They can make a hentai game in Unreal, but you reap both the rewards and the penalties from that. And I really can't say I'm bothered by that. I've always been very much into freedoms of like freedom of speech with consequences. Mm-hmm. Sure, I'm okay with that because that's on you. Freedom of freedom of creation, that's on you. Like, it is on you. You can, like, I feel like, because if somebody says this isn't artistic enough or this isn't blank, I look at a lot of games and I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. They trained on us. And a lot of the games I play, a lot of the music I listen to, sometimes I'm listening going, this isn't very artistic at all. So it's like, I don't necessarily think any of us can be the judge of that. I think with game engines, they should add whatever they want to add so that a person can put together the game they want to put together. And then free market, free data about how it's being made should be out there and available. And then you can decide from there. I think that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know how to make a game right now, because I would look at some of the systems and be like, holy shit, if I can make something efficient without affecting the creativity in this game by 80% in a day.
Yeah.
But that's because I literally am studying this stuff and researching this stuff, and I look at it, I'm like, wow, a game developer, scientist, astronomer, you can throw stuff at things that the repetitiveness and the brokenness of the human workflow is so bad. In everything we do, it's so bad. Checking your emails in the morning is honestly one of the most broken, like, chains of activity you can possibly imagine when you think about it, and how long it's existed. those are things I'd like to see, efficiencies for. And then the rest, yeah.
Do you think it's going to get to the point where people are just going to be able to say like, dial up the fog, give me, do this with more fog kind of thing, and it will just.
Well, in Unreal and stuff, it should be able to do that. In fact, I think if it can't, you would be a really bad engine maker if you couldn't like let them do changes faster that didn't require you to go into an arcane 0.002, look at the screen, wait for it to render out. If we can do that, fuck yeah, you should do that. That makes no sense. That's arbitrarily making it hard. That's the difference between that's your friend who likes to go camping without a sleeping bag and, put some dirt over the top of him because he feels more like a caveman. Whatever. You can do that. But you don't have to do that. I think that stuff should be built in those engines and will be. Because like when you're working with Blender or something and you get a crash, I want the AI to be able to look at that crash, which I've used it for crash logs and been stunned. Yeah. And I'm good at crash logs. That's been my job. So I'm like, and I'm fast to crash. I can usually even just by looking at something go, I got to go check over here. But being able, that kind of stuff, that's crazy. Of course you should be able to do that. I just think we're not ready for whatever comes. And I think most of the time humanity is never ready. We just aren't.
That's true.
Dude, we're pretty bad at being ready. Because like if you imagine humans as like a round globe of dots, whenever the change never happens in the center, man. It happens over here, and it takes an entire wave of knowledge to get to the guy on the opposite side. And by then, it's so filtered and changed, it takes forever. You might go, wow, how many times have you been in a Discord? Somebody said, did you guys hear about this thing? And you're like, dude, that was 6 months ago. But you have to realize that person's knowledge chain, they're at the end. And maybe you're at the starting. I want the knowledge chain in game engines for the game developer to be able to say, this is what I want, and put it together, build it with his own hands kind of thing, but then also be able to remove the shit that developers have been trying to remove for years. Optimization, I would love to see, because there is some optimization that has been going on for years that wouldn't be called AI, but it was fuzzy. I love the idea of that, where the optimization is like, you go away, and I'm going to run 50 different styles of small changes, and then I'm going to tell you the next morning which one of those changes is the best. Now, that's existed for a little while. Unity had it. Syndicate ran it. I know the Assassin's Creed devs. I believe Vermintide. I believe in Vermintide 1, when Victor was on, they already had a base system like that where it's sort of fuzzy. That shit's amazing, man. That's glorious. Yeah. That kind of stuff. But, nobody wants a person saying, make a shooter. Well, they don't. But I do wonder how fast, maybe because I use a lot of itch.io and I use a lot of these shitty little websites that have little shareware games that people put up that are a lot of times just a horse dick running around inside of a vagina, and you're like, dude, but a person made it.
And it's how many of those similar thing we have with these asset flip games, in the past. They are put out as a game and they're sold as a game, but really they're kind of a cheap asset flip. We're going to have some of those that are AI slop, like they say, it's just going to be like a cheap
and look at what happened with asset flips. Asset flips used to be the number one reported thing everywhere. The two things happened. One, people got tired of it. Two, some of their favorite devs were using it. And it's very hard for you to bitch about it when you like the game, the very game that you're playing you bitch about. For example, Yakuza. Listen, I don't think anybody would argue with me if I said if Yakuza was made by a Western company, people would be losing their mind. I just feel like there's expectations there that aren't going to be on a Japanese dev. And it's okay. Yeah. That's just the way it is. They have certain things with sexuality or whatever that they get away with that if it was in Mass Effect, you'd be like, what the fuck? It's just the way it is, man. But look at what's happened through our history. It takes a long time, but for the most part, when you look at these kind of you look at these kind of things, it usually gets to an equilibrium. I think the asset flip thing sucks. And speaking of asset flips, I mean, I think we're dangerously close to having to step back from simulator games with simulator in their titles. So, for the longest period of time, I was championing simulators, and people were like, "You're covering the shittiest games. Why are you covering this fucking car mechanic simulator?" I'm like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about, but this is quite literally one of the best fucking things I've ever played. Like, this game is legitimately fantastic. While you're out, the digital dick is bigger than yours, but I'm sitting here and I'm learning car parts. You're doing PC Parts Picker, the game, even though it wasn't called that. You're doing all these funny things. But boy, did that have a short period of time before we're really close to getting, you know what? I'm going to need to get back to you because I need to look into how much of a framework this is, because smartly they made a framework. They're not dumb. You make a framework and then people can build. That's what you should do. You're like tabletop game simulator, whatever. It works good. Now, if we can give this to somebody as a skeleton, then that person can make their own
do the
thing.
Pokemon version of that.
Right. That's
that
fucking
that
fantastic. That's why it's not innovation. It's iteration. Right. But it's like, that's exactly what I want to see. And so excited for that, man. In that 2 or 3 year period, if a game had simulator in it, there's a high chance I was going to like it, because there were some quality-ass games and some really cool exploration. But now we're in, like, the 5th or 6th car mechanic. We had Power Wash 2, which I don't know the numbers on Power Wash 2, but I feel like the magic is gone. I feel like even when I cover that game, because I covered the sequel, I feel like there wasn't the same... People didn't have the same magic to it, because it's become a little bit rote, and because that framework is starting to show its age. And now you got to figure out what to do. And I don't want those to go away. You know me. If they're probably top games are like first-person shooter, immersive sim, probably simulator. Like, I dig those. I think they're incredible. And they're like mini flight sim, but in all these different aspects of the world. It's so good. There's model painting sims, like all this crazy shit. A lot of them are good. But now we're starting to see, like, gas station attendant sim, or what,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're starting to look at it and go,
Yeah, a lot are becoming pretty derivative.
Yeah. Car Dealer Simulator is great. That's good. Thank you for telling me. I'll check it out. Let's see. Real life car dealer sucks. That's Warpig, who is one. It's like as a game-breaking bug, but I still have to play it. Trust me, there was a YouTuber life simulator, and I purposely didn't play it because I was like, am I going to be depressed? Am I going to be like, oh man, maybe I don't want to play it? Yeah, Diminishing Returns, the game is what it should be called. Dude, there's definitely starting to see it this year. It's going to be very interesting to see how next year is, but you're starting to see less people watching, less people even. It's different, man. It's like, it's different. I'm in a YouTube Discord where there's a lot of YouTubers, and they're small, and they're like, yeah, man, I don't know how to take off or whatever. And I'm like, you ain't the only one who's having issues. I mean, my issues are very small compared to theirs, but like, I'm always telling people, don't quit your job. Like, it's because I think that industry is changing too. They're becoming, how many influencers do you see make a game? Dude, I know a good deal about games because I'm reading them, and I'm certain that there'll be times I'm wrong. I'm watching GDCs and I'm talking to devs. But if you were to say, hey, Carrick, do you want to make a game? I'd be like, fuck no. 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 Because, dude, talking about games, blah, 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 it's tangential to sitting down. It's not even tangential. It's like fucking 10 degrees of Kevin Bacon away from actually sitting down and trying to figure out a wage for a developer, and how long somebody needs to work, and why the engine is busted. I hate that shit. Like, not everybody knows. This is KK Blaze 312 Blaze. What's up, gentlemen? Another great Friday. Looking forward to all the good games. Playing Pragmata right now, and Monster Hunter Wilds updates. Having a blast. Ken Tanker says, I want another winning post from a Sega Saturn horse racing simulator. I owned that. I owned a Sega Saturn. I had almost every game for that goddamn thing, man. Boy, did I work hard for that, too. I was working 365 days a year for 4 years at HP.
Wow.
And I would just play on the weekends after, people come over. I'd play for a couple hours, go back. But I saw the money from working overtime and I couldn't pass it up because that overtime let me get games. I was dating, but like, you're young. You do a lot of random shit. And I was just like, if they're going to pay me
just grind it out
to work, time and a half every day and I like the job, I'm just going to do it till I get tired. And it took a lot longer than I thought. Oh, man. Future Lab cut their teeth on Vita, PlayStation Mobile indie games. That creativity ended up making Power Wash. Look at that, man. See?
Yeah.
That's why you should show. That's why people should fucking come here and talk during the podcast because you learn something new every day. I didn't know that. That's actually pretty crazy. Do we have any other topics in the topic list? Because I do have some.
Yes,
Go for it.
We got a few things. I also wanted to shout out from our chat. Got some cool stuff. Javi said, AI capabilities wise in game dev can do pretty much everything. Mesh topology is still a bit dodgy, but programming wise, it's really competent. Third-party MCPs in Unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know about some of that stuff.
Is he talking about, or is he saying they're good?
Yeah, I couldn't. Sorry, kind of lost the message now in all of that, but sounds like it's really powerful. And then Bobby Factor 69.
God, this
from
is
the
a good
Twitch
monster.
chat.
Sorry, continue.
Which one is that? Is that the
I can't even read it because I don't have my glass. It's like Zero Ultra. No, yeah. I have the peach I already drank, and then I have another Zero Ultra I already drank. But this is the new. They're so good. Anyway, continue. Sorry, continue. What were you
Bobby was saying, just joined. What's y'all's opinion on indie devs and small independent studios using AI to pre-generate voice audio for games?
It's a tool.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't put we're the only ones who would put a stop on it, meaning every other nation's devs would continue to use it, which would mean you would just crater. I mean, because it'll get better and better. Yeah. I also think there's games with text only that a lot of people would rather have a somewhat good sounding voice. Also, not to be rude, you guys can say the same of me. For sure. This is absolutely in agreement if you want to say this. But the plain and simple fact is, we played a lot of games with human voice actors that suck horribly. That's just, nobody wants to hear it, but that's the truth. Like that, and so if we hear that, we see that, then you look at a person who maybe isn't accustomed to hearing bad voices in games. They hear them, they're like, wow, these are bad. They play a game that's got AI. They hear a voice that to them sounds okay. I can't control what somebody else thinks sounds okay. I think smaller devs, I don't really care if it's a smaller or bigger dev. And the only reason I'm saying that is because that's arbitrary tapped onto arbitrary. Now we're saying it's a smaller and smaller dev. Yeah, what if they have $1 million investor? Like we know, what was it? Heroes of Avium. That guy had a friend who gave him a ton of money, but they were still sort of charging into the we're a B level creator. And you're like, okay, but if you say it once and then you have a bunch of money come in, is it required that you tell everybody you've got that bunch of money coming in?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Things change and they can get worse too. I think saying like AAA, AA, quadruple A, indie, I'm not going to give one person the authority to do something. Like it just doesn't make any sense. I don't even know how it would make sense. It's like instead.
Are you afraid of like a point where AI voices might be just flat out better than human voices? Like maybe just the ability to do like super specific things, right? And have more range, or maybe just kind of imagine something that's not even possible for a human to do, that kind of thing. Are you afraid of a time where it's just undeniable that, we should use AI voices?
The call. Sorry. My wife was listening to your question. She asked me if I wanted to tell you what just happened. So I will.
Okay.
My mom and dad called me 2 weeks ago crying. And they kept saying, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. What are you even talking about? Somebody had used AI. they called up my mom. And they left my mom an emergency call, pretending to be my doctor and me. And it was change up. I think it was my doctor first, and then it was me second, I believe. That I was dying in the hospital, and that they needed some paperwork to. This is as sort of as far as I can tell from my mom. She did not want to talk about it. Once she found out I was fine, she was like, "We're done." Like. My mom and I have sort of a couple passwords that I've told her. I'm like, if anybody, because my voice is, there's over 140 channels. There's 180 channels on YouTube right now that use my voice. So it's like, that's done. I can't control that. So they called her and, they tried to get data to pretending it was like, to decide to save me or to get my organs. And
dude,
so my mom couldn't get a hold of me because I was with you. This was 2 Fridays ago. So you and I were here. My wife DM'd me and she's like, "What did you take the car? Like, what's going on?" Because we have 2 cars, but I mean, I'm doing Friday. It just doesn't change. We're always here. So my wife was like, "Listen, I don't know what's going on, but he's fine as far as I know." So but my mom couldn't contact me. My mom's 78 or something. My dad's like 82. So they have no clue. And we have spent hours prepping them for this because it's happened to all of us where you get a fake call, right? But I think everybody here has had somebody try to phish them, whether it be a fake email, whatever. But as a YouTuber, it's a tiny bit higher, and then there's a lot of footage of me, and then there's like my name, So it just finally happened, and it devastated them. Like, she doesn't even want to. She just called. We wished her a happy birthday, and like I was.
It's a traumatic experience.
It was beyond traumatic.
That was real to them.
I can't even talk to them about it because I'm not near them, and talking over the phone feels weird because the person called them over the phone, but they believed it was me. 100% believed. First, they believed it was my doctor because they don't know the voice of the doctor. Then they believed it was me, and ultimately, I still don't have too much of an issue because I still believe we should the cops should go after those people, right? Like, I don't want to stop somebody. Like, I don't want to stop I have a friend who can't speak, but they were hurt, and in no way, shape, or form do I want to stop AI from figuring out voices because I want him to be able to talk. I think that would be amazing. I think it would be one of the most life-changing events to have him come over. Name's Greg. Have him come over and have him talk, like with like the tracheotomy about a machine or whatever, and have him have his voice back because he's got recordings of his voice, and it's like, dude, imagine what we can do. I am not going to fucking tell him he can't have that because I'm a fucking gamer and I think, like, sorry, I'm not going to. I've lived long enough to look at that person. I'm like, I would rather have him be taken care of in some way, and us as a society have to deal with it, including smashing the fuck out of people. We smash swatters, Johnny. But there's no swatter for a phone call. Like, if somebody pretends to be you, nobody cares. We all get them all the time. That's a problem. That's something that I would rather have gamers, myself included, focus on that shit and be like, how do we smash the fuck out of that person and pull them into a courtroom?
And how can we figure out what's real? Can we have like a footprint or a...
Well, Anthropic now is doing the color coding. No one can see. But let's be honest, that'll be broken in minutes. I think we're past that. But I agree with you. I think, I think code words with your family. I have code words with mine. I'm going to be brutally honest. I don't think my mom and dad knew what the code word was. I think I'm going to be honest. I gave it to them long enough, and I only gave it to them once or twice in a DM. And I think they just forgot all about it. And when you get a call, it's not the same. You're groggy, whatever.
In the heat of the moment, too.
Yeah. But it was one of those times where I've already had to face. This is not something that I'm just on Twitter trying to cause up a storm and I'm going to do a fucking YouTube video about it to get some views. It's like, normally I'm like, do what you want, blah, blah, blah. But this is like the 4th experience I've had in some way. And then knowing people who've been swatted, they deal with that. They deal with the swatting. I mean... And so now the more I think about it, the more I'm like, okay, at least for me, I have a unique viewpoint that it's happened to me. My voice is everywhere on the internet now. Like daily, somebody's like, dude, I think this person is using your voice. You go listen. You're like, yep, it is. They're making money using my voice. I don't know why they would, because they're not covering games. They're not even faking that they're covering games. However, we do have a lot of people who've got codes under the name ACG. So now even the PR companies have, like, I guess, I don't want to say what they have.
Check.
Yeah, but we've got a pretty good system now. But we didn't at the time. But there's a pretty good system
they got
now.
Your blood.
Yeah. And so, because I deal with it in real life, I'm like, that matters to me versus us getting mad at a developer who's small or large, who's like, hey, I want to do it. It's out there. The data's out there. I think a footprint is great.
I think that's fair.
Audio tone prints are great. I think that the moment you make something, somebody will make the opposite of it, though, which is why I was saying I don't think humans are ever ready for anything. And I don't think we're ready for this, because the stuff I mention in our Discord where I'm like, what if? And you'll have people going like, holy fucking shit, dude. I never thought about it. I hope it never happens. And it happens the next week after I say it. So I'll be like, I bet you could just do blank to blank, 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 blank. And this thing could happen. And it pops up because it's just happening so fast. It has nothing to do with me like being smart. It's just like reading stuff and going, oh, and seeing gaps in stuff that's being, even, by the way,
you're just seeing the pattern.
Not only seeing the pattern, but even seeing people attack the pattern and be like, dude, don't attack hard in this place that doesn't have a lot of, let's say, support. Because if you do, the smart people you're actually sort of the leader of a leader of a war group, and you may think that what you're doing is magically going to fix something, but everybody's sneaking around the sides all the time.
Right. Yeah, it could just incite the very thing at times.
It sucks. But anyway, so shit happens. I'm fine.
I mean, I think transparency is the key thing, right? If people really start using AI-generated voices, what I would hope for is that they explain that those are AI-generated voices, right? And that then us as consumers, we will decide, do we actually, and with our wallets, we will show, do we prefer human voices or AI generated voices? Because we'll buy more of those games or less, depending. And if it turns out that there's something special about human voices that we cherish and we want to stick to, then that's going to bear out in what we buy. It's just like we were talking about, if a book was written by AI, I don't think I would be that interested, even if it's a good book. There is something about like a person writing a book that I think is still compelling. And that might be the same thing for voice acting, right? It might be the opposite, and we end up saying, it's just obviously we prefer the AI voices and we have to find other stuff for actors to do.
It's weird. We've handled this. We've dealt with it as a society for years. The same thing happened when sampling became a thing in music, where you didn't have to play the instrument. And then there was a thing where it was like, I can't believe they use a beat generator that's got a perfect on-time beat. You got to be out there with your metronome hitting the drum. Oh, no, this guy's just hitting right-click every fourth, and it just shows up. And some of the best songs of all time are created by those devices that prior the musicians hated. Some of the musicians that probably still hate them still use them. I think the one problem you and I have is we both believe in a free market, but we both, or at least I'm sure you do, but the one thing I do understand is the free market is only ever indicative of those people who join willingly. So those people who say they have AI are instantly at a massive, massive liability compared to those who will not have to say they're AI. Or will lie about it. And if we do get to the point to where watermarks don't work, I think, in all honesty, right now with the recording of voice box, have you heard of this, where they record people and they take the tenor of your voice box and then they do measurements to figure out why your voice creates a certain sound for you? So, for example, when I lose 199 pounds or something like that, I'm going to sound dramatically different because the actual tonal change and the echo change. So there's companies that are doing that for AI. I think when you get to that point, It's going to be very difficult to tell. Well, oh, dude, I'll give you an example. Recently, I fucking was looking at Substack, and I saw some people saying, oh, they've added Pangram to it. Pangram is an AI. It can sense if you used AI.
Okay.
Here's the biggest problem. Who's going to get hit the first moment that goes live? And this is exactly what happened. The people who put out a bunch of stuff that it was trained on. So there were false claims instantly, and I got them even. And I was like, dude, what? But because
the source material that was
because
used.
I talk. And dude, there's videos where it's me talking. I don't even use a teleprompter ever anyway. I don't even have the space for a teleprompter. And they were like, you talking is AI. And I'm like, dude, it's fucking me talking. What are you talking about? But if you put a bunch of content, I have 1,000 videos. You've got writers who have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of articles. And if you train that on those people, there are going to be certain habits that repeat themselves. And then if I like that writer, what's going to happen? I might repeat those. I'll listen to that writer. I'll be like, David Gamel's a great writer. I like the way he describes it, blah, blah, blah. So I think that's already, and then you can, by the way, you can detune a trainer in seconds anyway and just say, add this word, and you get past them in seconds, like literally in seconds. You can, there's already like entire websites based around getting past it, and it works. So it's like, you can get past it. But I think the same thing would go with voice, because voice is so weird, dude. You're in your room, I'm in my room, there's acoustics. What if I want to make it sound like it's not AI, so I turn the AC on? You got a little flutter in there. You put some fake taps on a mic. Like, I feel like I'm sort of giving too many.
You could give all kinds of prompts to make it sound more human. Yeah, I get your point.
Yeah.
And I
just don't think we're ready.
The incentive, I think the other problem with free market is that it's also, bad incentives can cause bad behavior at scale, right? So if there is a big incentive for people to not disclose that they used AI, for example, then that might be the emerging pattern that we end up seeing, especially if it is hard to prove, like you're saying.
Ghostwriters.
We can hope that the technologies to detect AI keep getting better at the same pace as the ones that are used to, trick those systems. But all of that is in the clouds. We have no idea how it's going to pan out.
It just look no further than edits in a Premiere. I remember I had this was about 5 or 6 years ago. I posted I believe it was just me talking about news, and somebody was like, I'm not seeing any cuts in your video. I'm like, I don't do cuts in the video. And what he meant was this: if you've seen it online today, we're going to talk about the way, because the person is cutting when they're making mistakes. And almost every video is that way now. Or they do a fake Twitter. One of the easiest ways to get away with this.
Silences.
Open up the starting of your video. Be like, sup, everybody, this is Carrick with ACG. And once again, it's my continuing mission to give you reviews that aren't filled with like bullshit. And then you post a thumbnail. Or you zoom in on something. That entire time, you are recording until you get the proper next section of footage to go to the next picture or blur that's going to cover you doing it. That is, by the way, so I'm not saying it's nefarious. I'm saying that is what everybody is doing. And here's why. Because why would you record, or why would you not stop it if you made a mistake if there's a giant blurry Twitter fucking slow motion thing? So this is all stuff people are teaching each other on ways to fake. They talk with perfect cadence at all times.
Right.
And even when
it's all manufactured.
It's all manufactured. And so there were people, you are using Morph Cut in Premiere. And I'm like, actually, at that time, I wasn't even using Premiere. I was using Musax, right? Musax, is that what it's called? The Musax editor?
Yeah.
I think that's what it's called. But I was like, no, man, that's just because I've spent years doing this and having to talk.
I was going to say, except you, I could point you at any subject and say, go. And you can, you can spit out a 20-minute thing.
It's 20 minutes of full-on bullshit.
It's almost like an AI engine, because you're able to keep generating stuff like based on
based on the
stuff
other
you
stuff.
read.
Mhm.
Yeah, you just you're
But
able
that's
to
the
keep
thing. And
generating
you see
ahead.
Adam Sessler was able to do. You see a lot of people able to do it. It's certainly not like
Yeah.
unknown. But
I think it's also no coincidence that the LLMs work in a similar way than our brains do. In that way, the associative thing,
associative.
right?
Yeah. I guess a lot of the stuff I see feels fake anyway. So, like, I guess that's where sometimes I'm like, well, we're saying this, but at least it's a person faking you out. And you're like, damn, is that where we are? Like, I guess it would feel better if you got faked. I mean, I guess it would. It used to be where you wouldn't feel bad if you got faked by a PC because they're able to fake stuff and they're faster. Now it's the opposite, where it's like, well, if I'm going to get fucked over, at least I was fucked over by a person. I'm like, damn, I don't know if I want to say that. Like, I don't know if I want to live in a world where that's where I don't know what world I want to live in, but I feel like both are bad. Both choices are quite negative. What do you do when every choice hurts? And I think with games, we're going to see that. Somebody was saying that music got worse, and yet we see that music has been hitting number one multiple times. That's AI driven. By the way, I'm not saying it's better, but what I'm saying is it's very contentious to pretend that we understand what sounds good, because you like certain type of music. I think you and I agree actually on most music. But let's say we met an improv jazz person, which I can't stand. It doesn't even sound like music. I don't even know what's happening. But their impression of what is bad would be dramatically different. And I think we're trying to pretend that everybody has this solid line. I think also we try to assume every gamer knows like that a microtransaction is bad. And this is one of the wars I fought, where I remember sitting here with you and we were like, man, the one thing I don't want is early access for a couple days. Your game's done. But weirdly enough, now when we've seen all of the bad, I feel like that might be the best of the bad. Meaning,
maybe the most benign.
Yeah, I'll continue to bitch about it, but I can't reach some guy who's playing on a mobile game in India who just thinks that the new Mass Effect looks good. There's nothing wrong with that, man. Like, you should think that's good. You and I may hate it, we're fighting it, blah, 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 but it's like you're only going to reach a certain number of people. And that's a weird one, too, with the micro, because I feel like I can remember with us talking, Silver, Reg, Absy, Go Burns even, and being like, dude, please don't, release the game and have a $10 early blankety blank. But now when I look at all the other types of microtransactions,
we'll take that over some of the other BS.
If the company needs to make money, or we can all say everybody's guilty of just being greedy and nobody needs money, and they're just you look at it and you're like, yeah. Oh, and by the way, Satnos mentioned what I was saying earlier. The big one for me was ghostwriters. So I have a favorite author, and he was getting ill. And he's talked about this very openly after his illness passed, but he was like, listen, my son's a good writer, and I was too ill to write. But we knew if we put his name on there, it wouldn't sell. And I spent a lot of time talking about that with him. I was writing sections. I just wasn't able to write the output, the 500 pages, the thousands of pages, and then have somebody edit it down. I was able to make do with 150, and I was building much of that on my son. And they chose that 25 years ago. They looked at the negative of a ghostwriter and said, that's not going to work out. That's going to financially, it's not going to hit the best time seller, even if it's just as good. And by the way, it took years for anybody to figure it out. For every highfalutin pinky up person who is like, I can tell the difference from 65 miles away in a boat, and I can tell you right away what is fake and what is not. They all got schooled. Look at what happened with the headphones that just recently came out. They took the headphones, they removed all the markings, they didn't let the people who test headphones, and the highfalutin best headphone reviewers for the last 20 years failed fucking utterly at which headset was the best. They It was such, and by the way, that caused issues everywhere behind the scenes. I mean, people were like, "Oh shit."
I mean, it's a huge credibility hit.
It
as
is,
well.
but it is, but that's why you don't worry about the credibility part as much as you say, "This is the flavor of music I like. Therefore, follow me because of the flavor of music. Don't follow me if I'm going to try to tell you I can tell what 22,000 hertz is versus
That's
20."
right. Yeah.
And they were starting to do that, and that's what happened. It was you should go read the article. It is amazing. But they took these four guys, girls too, sorry, but they took these four people, they gave them headsets that were like 150 to 600. And those fuckers were all over the place. It was amazing. It was like, that is exact. And by the way, anybody who covers this stuff, you already knew that. You already like,
yeah.
Well,
we know a lot of this stuff is
because we deal with headphones all the time.
Yeah, it's not based on
it's subjective.
The real. It's subjective, and it's a lot of things impacting you that are like side things. Like, for example, they've done a lot of tests with guitars where a person blindfolded, right? So they pick up a $600 guitar. Of course, if you go to the extremes, they can notice if it's like a very cheap guitar.
Weighs
right?
different, feels different, wood feels weird.
Yeah, like, there's sound, there's fretting, like different things.
Right.
But once you get to a certain level, like a $600 guitar, and then they pick up a $6,000 guitar.
Right. Yeah.
And at times, quite consistently, they are wrong about which one is the right one. Same thing with amplifiers. Like there can be like a cheap amplifier that tricks them. That kind of thing when they're blindfolded. So, but I think that's built in. That's fine. A lot of it is the feel. There's something about, in that case, the guitar that inspires you, that you think sounds better, makes you play better, right? Inspires you. Like there might be something about the headphones that made the character of the sound, the way it feels on your head and everything comes together, that like the experience of it. I think that's fine to factor in, fine to admit that it's not all like super factual based on like the frequency table of this headphone.
Agreed. Dude, I swear to you, VR headsets and earphones, you put them on, you are quite literally, you have a countdown timer. When you put either one of those on, that countdown timer is comfort versus, the music quality itself. And when the comfort starts to drop too low, you definitely will start like having a lesser experience. So if you can get a pair of headphones that have a very comfortable feel versus great ones, tonally with, even bigger, maybe you even got bigger speakers in there, got a little bit more bass, it's ported or whatever, you do, comfort is a big deal. And comfort will creep up on you. How many times have you like had a dad or an older family member, they get crotchety in the afternoon and you're like, well, that's weird. And you realize his back hurts. My dad's back would hurt, and he would just get progressively more quick. He'd be progressively more crotchety. And you just realized in the morning when you're fresh and your willpower is high and you can deal with it is way different than it's 5 p.m. or whatever. And you've been dealing with it. And headphones are the same way. Yeah, it was just a great video because we've all done this. I'll make that mistake. I firmly believe, and I'm putting it out there, absolutely will happen. Absolutely will happen that I will review a game that the company has not stated they're using AI voices, and I will be fooled at some point in the future. And the reason why I know that is because 11 Labs ain't the best. They're not even close to the best. There are ones made personally. There are ones that are made by other companies that I can't tell. They have emotional phonetics. Now, can I tell if like you were just typing fast? Yeah. Question marks, stuff like that start to appear weird. In the other hand, you and I, at times when I was first starting to meet you, I had times where I couldn't tell if you're asking a question versus making a statement. Like that'll happen with AI. But it'll happen, dude. It'll happen. I guarantee you it'll happen. It's just, dude, Valhalla is real voices, and it sounds like shit. Valhalla has horrible compression. Legion, they modified the voices. Listen, we already have had those experiences where you're like, is this AI? I think people thought Legion was true. Legion used AI to adjust the timbre.
Modulation and stuff.
But it was real people. But Valhalla was real people. And Valhalla, it had all the bittiness and it was all crunched up. You can make that sound way better right now. Like you can, Yeah, it's going to be a weird time. It's going to be a weird time because I know I'll fail. I know I will. I have no problem admitting I'll fail. I have good ears for stuff, good sense, but at some point, too much shit will be going on the screen, or they'll purposely hide it in. They'll purposely, if they're smart, they'll purposely hide it in something where they'll crouch it in other activity. It won't be a person giving a perfect speech because that would be quite difficult. But if you hide it and shit, you start using it for people saying, run over there. Oh my God, the bad guys are coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wonder if the bad voice acting will become actually something we seek because, it will be more human in a way, just like.
Can I put a pause
in the
on
music
this
scene
and just
it's
say
going
something?
a bit.
Sorry, Johnny, I'm really apologize to interrupt you, but I got to interrupt you. Missing person alert has now been closed. Zaxby is back. I have fucking talked, I've been like, where did that fucker go months ago? He reminds me of Brav. Do you remember Brav? Brav was around and then just fucking disappeared.
Yeah, he would go away.
And then Brav got kicked out of an entire nation, which I don't know how that happens, and I don't think I want to know, but welcome back, Zaxby. I hope you're doing well. That is funny, though.
Welcome back.
That is funny, because I remember one day I was in our Discord, and I was like, hey, man, you've been playing that, what's that rip-off Sims game? I like it a lot. I call it rip-off Sims game. But the one that came out recently.
Yeah, Enjoy.
Or Enjoy or whatever. And I was like, hey, man, so Enjoy. And it came up, gone or what. I don't know what they do. And I'm like, people leave and go all the time. So I'm like, could have been money, whatever. I didn't see that anybody pissed him off. So I was like, okay, he's gone. And then I did it 10 more times. And I was like, and I will always love you. I was like, why do I miss him so much? Because he was the only person who played that game. That's why. Not because I have a heart. It's because I just wanted to talk about Enzoy. But anyway, welcome back, man. I had to interrupt Johnny for that. I apologize, Johnny. Here's the big problem. Are you going to be able to remember what you were saying, Johnny? Because I am truly sorry. I just wanted to point that out.
Barely, but let's keep rolling.
Okay, go ahead. Keep rolling. Do you remember?
No, I pretty much already lost it,
sorry.
but it will come back to me. Yeah. No, it's all good. It's all good.
Oh, man. Well, I can remove Zaxby's fucking face from the back of the milk cartons and shit. That's funny. I'm doing super well. Been super busy with work and taking care of my mom. Yeah, no worries, man. No
By the
worries.
way, worst place to put a missing person's face.
On the back of a milk carton?
Yeah.
Do you know where missing persons
what's the coverage you're getting with that?
Let's talk about fixing the world. Missing people should go on Pornhub. Johnny.
Okay.
Johnny, come on.
Yeah.
You're hyper-tuned. You're super focused into faces and, genitalia, but into faces. You go to Pornhub and it makes you click through at least one missing persons to pass the CAPTCHA.
I mean, that's really a mood killer, though. Yeah, you have to get through a missing person.
But imagine how many people go there, dude. And they go there, they're attuned for that. Psychologically, you're attuned for that when you go there. Even if you're into bodies and not faces, you're still attuned to the face. You're still attuned to that physicality.
And
you go to Pornhub and you're like, missing person, Jeremy or Carrick or whatever, and you see this beanie-looking bearded freak. And if you walk down the street and you saw me, you'd be like, I saw you on porn. Dude, how many people talk about, what's her name? Sasha Grey. Sasha Grey will go to the Parthenon or something, and people will be like, the guy or the girl will be snickering over in the corner, and she knows. Yeah. You saw him on Pornhub. Fucking throw it up there. You would save so many people. You throw them up there, and you're like, dude, these people are missing. Anyway.
I think it's... No, I think it's crossing a line because...
You now think trying to save missing people is crossing the line with anything? Come on.
No, because now people are thinking, ooh, this person is missing. I'm horny. I'm gonna... I don't know. It's just, for some reason, it's a bit predatory. I think it's a bad mix.
You mean there would be a worry of, I would rather have the possibility of slightly adjusting somebody's thought process than I would be much more interested in a website that is highly attuned. Any website throwing missing people up. Because you were saying on the back of a milk carton, nobody looks there, right? Might as well put it on the back of a fridge. I'm just saying. There's ways to get more eyes on, and that's one way.
You get more eyes, but you get the people thinking, that person's missing. I'm a predator. I'm going to go out there looking for them. And It's getting dark.
Now
Yeah,
but you're saying I'm a predator. I'm going to go looking for the missing person? Well, good on you.
yeah, because they're already missing, so I can now.
Dude,
Okay,
I think
no,
you
it's
think
getting
there's a
too
lot
dark.
more predators
Let's
in the
move
world
on.
than there. Well, maybe I'm thinking there's a lot less predators than there are. I still think that Twitch, YouTube, right now the captures are like fucking take a square and put it in, an orange square hole or whatever. Man, why doesn't it say here are 3 missing people? These are the states they're missing in. Put that person over the fucking, like, the drawing of the state. Do some shit that's useful for that shit. Like captures is one of them because there's so many and they're so useless normally. Throw some shit in there. Throw some shit in there. Captures are used everywhere. I think that'd be awesome.
Well,
the milk carton is a
the milk
pre-digital age
carton.
thing. Dude, the milk carton's a pre-fucking life thing. Milk carton, when I was a kid, man, I remember people were like talking about that shit all the time. I'm going to, if you try to, people would use it and like when they were bullying somebody, and like, I'll put you on the back of a milk carton. It's like, so? Nobody'd see me. Like, it's
what's even crazier? In Canada, they have soft plastic bags of milk. It's just like a flaccid, soft bag.
I mean,
of milk.
Bit is from there. I think it's because it's unpasteurized, right? Isn't that the story? Or is it pasteurized? That's the story, right?
I don't know what the explanation is, honestly. I don't know what their defense is.
I don't need a bag of milk, man. Do you know what I need? No. I need enough milk to cover the cereal I want to have. I need my box of cereal to almost have, when you break a light, chemical light?
What, you want just like a portion?
Like a milk, like think of a Capri Sun level of milk is in one part of this baby box. And then your Frosted Flakes are on the other side of this baby box. And somehow, by the way, I grew up in an area where this was real. You would have boxes of, and it might still be a thing, I just haven't had this in years, but it was a baby box of cereal, and you would literally put your finger in the edge, and it was a tab, and you'd pull the tab, and that would open the box, and there would be the bag, and then you'd pull the bag, and now you had a perfectly, a serving, a normal serving,
what if
cereal,
you wanted,
and you poured milk in it.
What if you want a little more? You're the kind of guy you want more milk.
Well, then you wouldn't buy the exact thing that was set up for that.
You wouldn't buy.
Yeah. You just buy whatever you want to buy. You buy your bag of milk from the Canadians.
Yeah.
This diatribe is why I missed this podcast. I mean, that was a diatribe. But back to games for a second.
Yeah.
Or are we done? Do we?
No, we got some more stuff, actually.
Oh, go ahead. Okay.
We got a couple.
This is a game
couple
podcast.
questions.
It's the best game podcast, so we should probably
couple
cover
questions
games.
Popped in while we were going completely
discussing
astray.
The ramifications of me trying to fix humanity and you consistently telling me that I'm wrong.
Did we solve anything?
Yes.
No. It's all a dystopia.
Go. It's not a
Yeah. The Pornhub idea needs to be canned.
What the
Okay.
It's brilliant. Anyway, continue. Whatever. I don't agree.
Let's move on. Salem says launched Batman Arkham Knight a few days ago. Its age has finally caught up to it. What graphics engines do you feel had the best run?
He thinks Arkham Knight's graphics have caught up to it, like where we're at a time where that looks old. Okay, I'm not saying I disagree, but I just played Origins, and I thought that looked pretty good for, you can understand. But, I mean, if I saw Batman Arkham Knight from anybody that wasn't a AAA massive developer, I'd probably be pretty okay with it, especially when you look at, like, a lot of the games we're getting now. I don't think it looks that bad. But Knights of the Old Republic, I like its goofy graphics, but I think it's right there. DC Universe, I play a lot, and that game looks like a crunchy-ass bitch. It looks like it's from, like, 60 years ago. It's rough. I love it, but it's well past its age. I think the big Sony third-person titles they started releasing on the PS4, most of those look past their age now. But
yeah,
not bad.
Yeah,
not bad.
I think weirdly enough, the older engines, like talking about maybe like PS1 era where a lot of stuff was 2D.
Yeah,
those engines still look pretty good because the graphics were very stylized and stuff. So like stuff hasn't aged as poorly. But then we started to get into the 3D age and, all the polygons and stuff. And now we can just see the age of everything a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's pixel or whatever. I think what you said, though, I think the goofier graphics or the caricatures, those
maybe
those
more
last forever.
cartoonish
Yeah.
or something.
I mean, dude, if South Park came out today, South Park is like what, 7 years old for the
still
first
great.
one. It would be great. I would have no issues with it day one if that was a new game because it was stylized. So, but what we're talking about is those games that. How about this? The games that were lauded for their graphics.
Yeah.
During their release,
I think
that would be a better way, an indicator.
I feel like Decima engine has always been a massive standout, hasn't it? With like Horizon. Wait, is it Horizon?
Or Horizon Zero Dawn uses Decima. Yeah, they both do.
Yeah. That was incredible when it came out, and then
Horizon
Death Stranding.
The shooter Killzone Horizon, I think Killzone. It was on 4. That game. You come down on your air copter chop. Of course, I'm a cyberpunk lover, so like this speaks to me.
Absolutely.
You come down on that thing, and you're just like, holy shit. And then somebody just mentioned a game that I still think looks amazing. That's 1886, The Order, 1886.
Yeah.
I'm devastated. I think the world is awesome in that. It was pretty lean as a game, but
very short.
It was very short.
But it was one of those like
gorgeous, man. It was like
it was shockingly good.
And did Laura Bailey do the voice for that? I think I brought this up last time. We found out it was somebody different, but the voices, they did a great job. Such a unique air punk lycanthrope world. Just all of these different supernatural elements sort of enveloped and categorized to make everything feel slightly askew. Like, is this? By the way, it's why I like Carnival Row on Amazon, because they're in like a Civil War style time. Not Civil War, before that. But then they mix in London, and then they have fairies and magic and evil. And I love the idea of like, is that person a person, or are they a person plus? Is that a person plus? Like they've got some special, special juice flowing in those veins, in that big old thick vein. Okay, I'm done. Anyway, I knew that was going to go wrong the moment I even started talking. What else do we got?
And then we got this question from Sully. He says, I haven't been listening because I was at work, but I'm super excited for Modern Warfare 4 campaign in DMZ mode and War Dogs beta today. Do you think either of you will play those games? I saw you talking about War Dogs.
Well, there's 2 War Dogs, or War Hogs, I think, is one. But there's a isometric XCOM game that's about mercs that's got a name quite close to the shooter that's come out and that is doing quite well. So there's some overlap there. Yeah, I mean, I'll just admit what happened. But a couple days ago, I got an email. It was like, hey, man, you want to play Modern Warfare 4? And I'm like, why the fuck are you sending me a code for an ancient game?
Dude, it's the same thing I thought, too.
Because I've lost track. And I was telling Jay, we were in my Discord, and I'm like, so I respond. I'm not going to say what I said because it wasn't rude, but I was like, what the fuck? Now, admittedly, I love the idea of what I saw of this Call of Duty. Like what I saw, this interests me as a story. Most Call of Duties interest me as a war porn, military porn, gun porn story. The campaign,
yeah, it's good.
But I was confused, man. I saw it, and I'm sorry, it's one of the worst game cases in the world. The 4, it makes it look like it says Modern Warfare 4 Warfare, or modern. What is it? It looks like it says like Call of Duty 4 Warfare. Like 4, like we're 4 warfare or something.
It just feels like we keep going back in numbers.
Yeah. Man, yeah, I'm excited for it. I mean, I have like a shit ton of codes for that too. I think they're giving codes away on Discord even. When I signed into Discord, it was like for the beta
campaign, or is it?
The beta is
the beta like the multiplayer?
No, well, yes, but they state that there's a touch of the campaign in the beta. I don't know what that means.
That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, because I saw with the Gears one, just there wasn't a lot of interest because the beta was the multiplayer, right? So for a lot of people, me included, that's just a bit of the side dish.
I feel like Gears has sold itself already too. I feel
Pretty
like
much.
The moment they said E-Day and they brought back the characters people wanted to. Nothing against. I liked the last game. I really liked it. I didn't necessarily. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of we got to kill somebody and blah blah blah. Sometimes I'm just like, we just want to play the Flood and Master Chief, or we just want to play Dom and Marcus and shoot the shit
with your buddy, or Yeah.
I think that game sold itself already. I don't know what it'll sell, but I think when they said Emergence Day, whichever pretty much everybody knows because all the games were sort of about it in a way. I think a lot of people weren't interested in the multiplayer because they were already they were like, I'm going to play it in some way, shape, or form. And it looked gorgeous. So
funny enough, my friend Davey in the Twitch chat came in. He and I were playing the remake of Gears of War 1 now, and then we're going to do 2 at some point. So E-Day is related to that time period, isn't it? Or is it like a prequel to...
It's a prequel to everything.
To everything?
Yeah. E-Day, Emergence Day, it's when the bad guys come out of the ground. It's the
like the first time they pop up?
It's the here's why everything is shit day.
That's interesting. That's cool to me. Yeah.
I can't wait. I mean, I'm getting it. Like, there's no... I don't know if it'll be good. I mean, it may... Listen, man. The number of games I've played that were good in their beta or looked good that turned to be dog shit's pretty high. The ones that,
I mean, even we were talking about Beast of Reincarnation.
Yeah.
That game previewed very well.
Oh, did it? Okay. That's probably true. I wasn't thinking of it that way. But yeah. What else we got?
Let's see. Well, that was it for questions. You had something here about the future of AEW games.
Dude, so
do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, AEW games, wrestling game. I'm a big fan. Next month, I covered it in the... By the way, if you haven't seen this video, you're just a bad person. But I did the September upcoming videos and covered a couple of the sports games. There's 3 sports games coming out next year, all with a fucking 27 tag, right? Your typical NHL kind of thing. AEW is not WWE, so I was really excited to see how they would do that. Different wrestling association, they could probably try some stuff, and it didn't work out. And I think they did I think one of the guys in our Discord either worked there or just knew it off the top of his head. The story is that they had to do a $30 million write-off on that, so they had to eat it. And the more competition we can have in fighting games like UFC, in wrestling games, NHL, any of these with the number after it, the better, because they're not going to go away. They're never going to go away.
Right.
So instead of wishing that whatever is going to happen is just going to go away, that's useless. The idea of competition, I'm not going to say who said this because they're very controversial, but I did see what I thought was a really good discussion point, which was not always looking for a place where I can do well, or a place where another person is doing well. I'm looking for a place where I can destroy the competition. And I think in gaming, it's sort of the other way around. I think in gaming, if you don't have to destroy the competition. I think, in fact, gamers have a lot of wide berth for playing multiple things. In fact, you hear somebody say, I play Tekken, I play Virtua Fighter, I play Soul Calibur, I play Mortal Kombat. That's what we want for gaming because they cost a lot of money and they have a lot of input. I think we could do with another UFC from a different group. I think we could do with, other sports games. So yeah, I was pretty sad, man. I was pretty sad. I mean, it wasn't a great game, but you write that off. It's probably never happening again, which sucks. I mean, because I grew up in the old Sega Pro Wrestling. SNES had the guy was Starman. The wrestling game was Starman. He had a star on his. He was a luchador. I can't remember. It might have just been SNES wrestling for all I know. But I grew up. Then Fire Pro Wrestling came out, which just knocked my socks off. We get all these great games that push the competition, but then the moment that the IP gets involved, the competition dies pretty quick. When WWE says we're going to go with blank, it's pretty tough. Like, we've only seen a couple. Seen NCAA did well. I know it's still NCAA, but it showed that it can do well against NFL 2K27 or whatever.
Is it tricky because of the licensing, almost like FIFA in those games? Yeah, because you need to have the likeness of everybody, that kind of thing. Yep.
That's why. So this is old school, dude. There's a game called Cyber Ball. Cyber Ball. And it was football with robots, and every robot had different teams. So it was like, I'm going to make, this is going to be wrong, but let's say you call them like the Celeste Cybernauts or whatever. The teams looked slightly different colors. They were robots. You have Mutant League football. You've got Mutant League hockey, Mutant League football, Mutant League. There was one more, which was like zombies, and they always faked. Then you got the Blood Bowl games, right? You got Blood Bowl, which is D&D and football. I'd like to see more of those. I really
absolutely
look at what's the fucking great baseball game. It's better than, by the way, than the official baseball game. It's where they're in the back park. They play in the park in the back. It's just oh my god, it's coming out. A new one's coming out. Does anybody know what that baseball game's called in chat? It's I remember because I talked to Freddie Pinch Jr. about it, of all things, because he wouldn't shut up about it, and I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And it's
that's
no,
cool.
It's not RI baseball. It's the one that's in the park. I mean the back part. It's like it's backyard baseball. Thank you, Jesus Christ. Yeah, backyard baseball.
Okay,
love that kind of stuff. So, and the more we can do backyard football, I'd be all for that. Backyard.
Yeah.
Do you remember
there was a
Connect
monster
wrestling, or an Avatar wrestling game too?
Really?
From your Xbox, you could be your avatars. Yeah, I think it was literally called like Avatar Wrestling. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But what were you saying?
Yeah, I can see that. Well, I like those the mashups where you have a sports game, but it's monsters playing it, and like it's more arcadey and stuff.
Love it.
Those kind of games, yeah, really like that.
If you had one skill that you could get better at tomorrow out of the blue, what would it be? Like if I came to you and I'm like, I'm giving you one skill, you're at a 0. You're at a 0. No touch, no experience with it. You're at a 0. Tomorrow you'll be a 10.
Huh. Man, would probably be to review games, actually, because I've tried it like a number of times. I wouldn't start I think like.
But you think that'd be fun?
I think my natural skill at it right now is like very low. Just being completely honest with you. Like if you were to tell me, listen, Johnny, I got you this code, right? Let me put you on the spot. You're gonna review this game, make a video about it, or we're gonna give you an opportunity. I don't think I could do a good job, and it's one of those things. I don't know how long it would take me to even get to a decent level, because it seems so difficult to do. So yeah, very daunting.
I was trying to think about this a couple days ago. Like, if it's not about money, like what's a skill that, and it's actually hard to. Weirdly enough,
because you dabble, not only dabble, but like you've explored so many things as well that you also wouldn't be starting from 0.
Yeah, probably
in any of
not.
Because you've done writing, you've done.
But I tell you what I would want. I don't know what one I would want, but I would love to go from 0 to 10 in a language.
Which one would you pick, though?
Like I said, I don't know. I would really have to think about it. But for utilitarian, if you wanted to just be a utility language, it'd be like Spanish, obviously, especially for America, where you do have a lot of people speaking Spanish. It'd be a very useful skill.
And you get to watch Narcos like I do.
And you get to watch Narcos as a normal person. And yeah, versus the way I watched it. Which is just staring down the entire time at those fucking subtitles going, I don't understand. So Spanish. But honestly, it'd probably be a Japanese or Chinese. I love the idea of being able, I think it would be so amazing. And this is why I'm all for AI translators, but the ability to just drop down into China, drop down into Japan, and you just fluent. Just fluent. That'd be such a power. That'd be such a.
Being able to watch anime in Japanese, that would be cool.
Anyway, before he ruined my dream, anime. God dang it. But no, I mean, I guess if that's what you want to use it for, I think a language would be. Because I mean, otherwise, and it's utilitarian to you. You could use it to make money, or you could use it to help you, but you could also it's yours. It's not like, oh, I want to be an F1 driver. Well, it's like, good job, Jeremy, you're an F1 driver. You're approximately 34 years older than the young people who start. You're fucked. You'd be like, oh, damn.
Zero utility.
Zero
almost.
utility, man. Zero utility.
Yeah.
So the idea of having like a language would be, yeah, that'd be magical. That'd be so fantastic. Let's see. Let's do another question. I got some questions. All right. By the way, I completely think I scared everybody out of the Discord doing this yesterday because I was asking them some really weird questions. Like, trying to think of some of the ones I said that are socially acceptable. If you can move anywhere, this is just normal. If you can move anywhere, is there a place that you would love to move to? Barring even if you didn't know their language. I'm just saying, is there a place that's attracted you in the past couple of years that you're like, man, I would love to move to blank?
Yeah, I don't know how realistic it is, but I would love to live in a place like New Zealand.
Oh.
Have like a really chill, not like full on in the mountain, you know what I mean? So like some place where I can still order something if I need to, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I can still like have some infrastructure, but live nearby that kind of nature would be very cool.
It's a pretty place too. I mean, it's like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's ugly places in the cities or whatever, but you know what I mean? Like in general, a little bit more untouched by a lot of the other locales. So, I had never thought about that. I don't know where I would want to go. You know, like living, man, that's Ireland, Scotland, probably. Yeah, for sure.
Really? Because it's cold, bro. Are you, like...
Dude, my AC is on at night. And it's like, I'm fine with that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, probably both of
Very
those.
windy, too.
Either one. Great. Like...
You like it? Okay.
Oh, yeah, when it's sunny outside, not too happy. But if there's a storm, rain's coming down sideways, that to me meant playtime. Because when I grew up, summer meant work time. So if you woke up and it was super hot, you knew your dad would be like, we're going to mow the lawn, we're going to paint the house, because there wasn't a lot of days in Oregon where it was that kind of weather. A little bit more now, but there wasn't. So when it was rainy, you'd wake up and you'd hear the sound, and I can tell you what it was like. I had a single bed. I lived like Harry Potter, admittedly. Nothing against my parents. I had a room that was so small. There was a single bed, and I had to put a single-sized drawer, slightly catty corner, to fit in there. That's how small the room was, because it was like a storage room that I lived in. I wanted my own room. That was the only place.
Right.
But you'd wake up and you'd hear the water you'd hear the rain hitting the window, and it would catch in the sill. So you'd hear the rain, but then you'd also hear, like when a gutter catches water, you hear the heavier drops. So I remember, to me, it was music. I was hearing like the light hush of rain, but I was hearing the thicker, like droop, 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 when it was coming off of a gutter that was filled up onto this sill. And I knew if it wasn't making that sound, we were working. But if it was making the secondary sound, I was outside playing swords, because I always had weapon when I was a kid. I had like bokens for Japanese martial arts. I made swords, out of sticks, whatever you could. And I would just be outside with my friends playing swords, fucking exploring. And
damn,
it stuck with me even now. Like going outside, if it's raining heavy outside, I'll just be sitting.
I wonder if people still do that type of stuff, just like playing outside with with swords.
You got to if you're like have no. Dude, I was so many miles from people. I had Jason, who was a friend. I had Aaron, sort of a friend, one or two. That was it. So you had to that was the other thing I learned. You got to get along with people, even if you don't like them, unless you want to just be ostracized.
I mean, that was back then, though, because now you could you could just be alone and just have a tablet.
Do you mean like the internet?
You're just... Yeah.
But
just
not everybody, especially if you're talking like the South or whatever, places that maybe don't have as much money. Not everybody has a cell phone, man. Not everybody has the money to do that kind of stuff. Now, of course, they're doing it more, but 1,000 million, because that would be a little bit like saying, well, you've got the internet, but I had a TV. So I could have just sat in the house and watched TV all day, and I didn't do that. So, like, there's always these things that can pull you away. But I don't think it magically goes away just because those are there.
Really? Because the stuff today is much more grabby than TV was. Like when you think about like social media and these things that keep people glued to, to devices, they're scrolling.
Yeah,
or
if
they're
your parents
playing
don't care, like my parents would never have let me, like at 13, be streaming for hours on my phone. They'd be like, something weird is going on.
Kick you in the butt, like go outside, go.
No, they wouldn't. I don't think they'd be like, here's this 12-year-old with a phone, or here's a 9-year-old with, because I was playing swords at the age of 5. Like your parents would be like, the front yard's the only place you could go.
Little Carrick with a full beard.
Little Carrick with full beard, making cardboard armor, man. We'd make cardboard armor. Yeah. We'd paint the armor. We would go out there, spray. My dad would give us enough money to buy spray paints, and so you'd spray paint your armor, and one person would be like the warrior in white, one would be the warrior in black, and then you'd go get fucking branches. You would get them as like straight as you could by whittling them down, sanding them on my dad's sander, by the way, which was not a good idea. Man, he got mad. But you'd sand them down, and then you'd fucking you'd make swords out of them, and you'd play swords, or you go biking, or you would go for walks or hikes, or you'd go, or you just go walking.
That actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, but again, I wasn't really saying that was anything. I was saying the rain meant those more childish activities
so
were
that
acceptable.
To you is a good association. You can kind of be in the zone with that.
And I think I'd have it with my kids too. I'd pass it on to my kids. If I had kids, I bet you they'd be like, rain's awesome, because that means we're going to fuck around.
Yeah, you could teach them to them. Yeah, you could teach that to them. I have
what were you going to say?
A quick question for you that I've been thinking about. Would you rather be the first cyber augmented person in a world of normal humans? So you would have maybe some of your limbs replaced and like bionic arms, your legs are amazing. You're the best runner ever, right? All this stuff. Or be the only purely human person in a world of cyber augmented people where everybody has, super limbs and can do all this crazy stuff, but you're a puny human with normal arms and legs.
It's I think it was 2025. Matthew Gabin wrote an amazing article. It's a PDF. It's huge. It's like 70 pages on cyberhumanism and like how separated we'll be when the first person chooses to not replace his legs, because blades for your legs makes you run faster. And we're getting quite close to that. We're getting close to people choosing, like, let's say 10 years down the road, an Elon Musk chip. Do you choose it only when you have brain damage, or do you choose it because now the people with brain damage are better than the people without it when they have it? Which we are getting there, right? We are at that point. We are on that trajectory. Personally, I can't see being the only human. I think you'd be viewed as the last Tasmanian devil. And there'd be a black and white video of you in a cage pacing back and forth. Because humanity isn't great. No matter who's better than who, and no matter why they are, we have a tendency to elicit pecking orders pretty quickly. I would say I would rather be the first augmented, but because we're there already, I'm trying to think of what augmented would be. We've got people with really good cybernetic
full-on
limbs.
arms, maybe, that are indistinguishable.
That are indistinguishable from like skin.
So they look like normal arms, but they're just like, super strength.
Yeah,
all this type.
I'd rather be that. Do you know what? We'll never get that, by the way. It's never going to happen. It's unfortunate, but it will never, ever happen. You'll break the human. There's zero chance of ever getting that. In fact, not only is there zero chance, the United States government looked into it, 30 years ago. And recently, Palmer Luckey looked into it, and some other cyber futurists looked into augmented machines. The moment you don't assist, but you actually begin holding or moving or lifting something that's heavier than the human body itself, it's really like a mech, and we're already past that with drones. There's no reason to put a person in a mechanical suit and have them go out to do war when you can have a drone do it, and or a computer where it looks the same way, but it doesn't have a flimsy human in it. And
so I agree from the utility standpoint, but think about it from your experience.
No, that's what I was just going to bring up. The one thing was civilian that was brought up, like civilians.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't make a lot of sense, because when you start putting that around a person and all that kind of stuff, you are doing two things. One, first of all, you have to make sure it can't do anything that would kill the person inside. So you could never move faster than the human body underneath can support it. Otherwise, shit's going to tear. You can lift. You can certainly lift stuff, and we see some of those machines with the leg braces that sort of they brace the body, which allows you to do more. I would love that. I think that stuff is awesome. But I think most of it's brain stuff, Johnny. I think most of it's hearing stuff. It was just brought up recently in the same discussion. Matthew wrote about it. He was like, well, what if a person can hear higher tones than you can? Can they be a reviewer? And if they choose to do it, are they now, if they choose to do it, so they're not hurt, how do we classify that? Or do we classify, for example, is a person a clanker? We'll use the clanker. Right now, there's goggles. There's, glasses. And they can have large language models in them now. That's not a clanker because it's a pair of glasses. Person might be using an AI chip on the glasses. But everybody who's doing neurochips is looking at putting those on the memory of the chip. So now you got two things. One, the person who needs it. And two, the person who augments themselves and doesn't need it. And then three, which Matthew brings up, which is the person who feels they need it because even the persons who are hurt who have it are better than the natural people.
Absolutely.
And that is that was a really cool, by the way, he's probably the best cyber futurist I've ever read. I think you can get all the PDFs for free, but he's on all the white page research paper stuff. Matthew Gebbin is Gebbn. Gebbn.
I gotta get you to link me that.
Yeah,
later.
I'll find it while we're talking. But yeah, dude, I'm telling you, it's like I love the idea of it. I love the idea of wondering about it, but it does make me wonder, like, how are we going to classify each other? Not classify like class.
Yeah.
But
because that becomes the new baseline, right?
That becomes the new baseline, yeah.
That's the new baseline human experience. And if you don't have that, you're subhuman now.
Right.
Which is what you were saying with the only person that doesn't have it, they would be just literally subhuman compared to
not
everybody.
only that, but so let me give you an example, because this is why I brought it up when we were in our discussion in the Discord. I was like, well, my problem is if we're all fighting against AI in all these ways, you sort of have to look at somebody and say, we have to decide how smart is not smart enough so we can give you something without then saying we don't want AI. So you have to go, you're dumb, and you're so dumb that we're going to allow you to have this thing. And then imagine if somebody's at 91 IQ, and you're like, sorry, you're not too dumb. And then we get those, and if we fight too hard for it, you're going to literally be fighting against the people who need things. And we're very close to that. We're very close to like the fight. And by the way, this has nothing to do with games. This is everything. But it's like we're very close to the idea of fighting for. But I have a lot of friends who are I almost said handicapped. I know that's not acceptable anymore. Sorry, they use that. But are physically disabled isn't even the right word anymore. I think they changed that. But I'll say all my friends use those. So I'll just say I'm going to use the term that they use for right now until I remember it. They're dealing with the thought process of like how they'll be treated.
Yeah.
And if an improvement, if we do get arms that look like skin, but then you find out this guy's got arms that look like skin, and you reach out to grab a piece of wood at work and he grabs it and picks it up with one hand, even though, again, physicality and stuff. Is that person now, like, are they the thing we've been fighting against? What if the AI is better at balancing things and then he went out and got it? There's also the very disturbing. Dude, this was dark as shit. I don't even want to talk about it a little bit. Personal self-harm so that you can get something. So if there's a massive...
Bring yourself down to that.
If there's a massive divide in ability, that is a real thing. I think my phone's going to disconnect because I'm starting to stutter.
We're dying.
But yeah, dude,
we've run through the COD campaign duration.
We have Modern Warfare 4, Warfare, Modern Warfare, Call of Duty. It's all the same thing. Do we have anything else? Before we
Someday
wrap it
I'll
up?
figure out what those numbers,
Yeah, I have no clue.
where we are in the.
Do we have anything
no,
else?
I think that's it. Lots of very cool games. Very cool time for games.
Absolutely.
Mortal Shell 2, Star Wars XCOM. Yeah, excited.
Before you go, let me get you the writer.
Oh yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. Let me see if I can find this person or anybody else who's interested. Absolutely fantastic writer. A little bit above station, so I think probably pings a little higher than maybe some people expect in the writing. But I think personally, sometimes you just have to like read his stuff twice, I guess.
Yeah.
Let me see here if I have this. I know I've got it.
Modern Warfare 4, Call of Duty 73. Yeah, dude, it's so hard to keep up. Dino says Mortal Shell 2 is sick. Loving it. Yeah, Dino, it's pretty awesome, man. I'm very, very happy with it.
Oh, my audio disconnected. Are you still there? Give me a finger up.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay, now it came back.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Okay.
Give me
Sweet.
1 second because I really do want to get you this before I go. I've done this happens every time. I did all the searches the way I thought I was supposed to do it, and it didn't show up. So now I'm going to have to do a PC search with human.
Don't worry, man. I can get you later.
No.
You're not going to get rid of me.
Shush.
So.
Shush. I'm going to get you this. Give me 1 second. It sort of pisses me off because, like, this has come up a couple times, and the exact same problem has come up where... Okay, there we go.
Fresh was asking, is Mortal Shell 2 up to Lies of P standard?
It's way above
you'll
Lies of
find
P.
it's a very different game. I'd say the polish level, yeah, it's above. I mean, Lies of P has a particular setting and atmosphere, right? That you might like more, like that kind of Bloodborne-y style at times. So there's that, but I mean, dude, Mortal Shell has some sick art design or like art direction. And I would say, yeah, the combat feels better. But it's also a result of the times.
Okay.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah, I accidentally, again, because Nathan's another guy that knows Matthew. This is Matthew E. Gladden, Gladden. And another great one is who will be members of a Society 5.0 towards anthropology of technologically post-humanized future societies.
Got it.
Yeah. Dude, I think...
Got his website here.
Dude, I'm telling you, fucking fantastic writer and covers all the stuff that, like, you and I've discussed, but also comes at it with, like I said, brings up the 3 different points of, like, a person who self-harms. Like, how do you deal with that? And especially fighting today for what you think is right. And in any technology or industry that moves quickly, fighting super hard for one very specific thing is a very easy way to make sure that you fuck over the very next day. Like, you destroy your ability to do things the very next day you do it. The Josla, $2 super chat. Here, have $2 from the Snickers vein guy.
Thank you, man.
God, Snickers sounds good.
Enjoy your Snickers vein.
Anyway, that'll be it for us. I want to thank everybody for showing up. Thanks to Johnny, as always. We're 3 hours and 20 minutes into this. If you guys like it, I would love for you to come be a member of the Discord. Join in if you don't want to. I don't like you. Right?
True.
You're a clanker. Matter of fact, my Discord is pro-human. I will point that out. Our Discord, there is no... I don't even have an AI bot in the Discord. I've got the... what is that one? The one that pops up and talks about tacos?
Yeah, Clyde or something. I don't know.
No, it's not even it might be Clyde. It's not Claude. It's like Claude's really simple brother, Clyde, who really
he's got 2 things in mind. It's the tacos and like some other...
And nights. He talks a lot about, like, old days of eating tacos, and you're like, damn, I don't know where this guy's from.
It really reminds us where bots started compared to, like, where AI is now.
Yeah, for sure.
Crazy.
Anyway, that'll be it for us. I hope you guys all have a good time. Thanks for always supporting the channel. We really appreciate it. It does help. And yes, you saw reviews. You'll continue to see reviews next week. Peace out, everybody.
Take care.
What are you streaming tomorrow?
You know, I'm not sure. It might be some Mortal Shell too. I always it's not like guaranteed I'm gonna stream on the weekend. I might just jump into Discord instead and chill out a bit.
I like to
with
do
that game
sometimes for sure. All right, that was it. Now we're done. Now you can go.